Okay. Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, if I'm gone, I'm going in a blaze of glory. Middle finger to the niggas that did nothing for me. Revolutionary suicide, Malcolm X. I ain't tripping off niggas, it's on that stupid shit. I be on that militant minded, that revolution shit. I spit the real, niggas better get used to this. I kill beats and murder whatever booth I'm in. I ain't talking peace, I ain't on that Martin
Yo,
Luther shit.
what's up? This your boy Tape
No
Today.
matter who you with.
It's your boy, The Real Tape.
You know what I'm saying? It's another episode of Power, Powder, and Dollars. Feel me? We got some interesting shit to discuss today. First and foremost, we got a new law being pushed into play in regards to permitless handgun carry in Texas. We also want to talk about cancel culture, the current push of cancel culture that's going on right now. How do we feel about that shit? You feel me? What else we discussing today? We're talking about breeding these feeling-based generations, you know, people who put feelings over facts. Then we're gonna have kind of a state of the union in regards to how we feel like this man that y'all call a president is doing.
Oh, Biden update.
You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it.
Let's go.
All right. So, Texans could carry handguns without a permit under a bill headed by Governor Greg Abbott's desk. All right. So right now they have a bill that they're pushing in regards to being able to carry your handgun without a permit. And what they're saying is that this is a simple restoration of Texas' constitutional right under the Second Amendment of people to bear arms.
Right.
Right now, it says the House approved the deal, hashed out behind closed doors in an 82-62 vote, and the Senate approved the deal on Monday in a 17-13 vote. The governor said that he would pass it if it crossed his desk. Looks like that's what's going on. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I mean, I feel like as your right to be able to carry on, you should not have to go through all these fucking hoops to try. Now, the only thing that I think it opens itself up to is the people that the people that want to open carry. Concealed carry is one thing, you know, being able to protect yourself and knowing that you're able to protect yourself. I think you kind of heighten people's senses and the threat levels that they feel about, you know, certain people, because even with progressing laws, they don't necessarily progress the people. Texas ain't the most progressive fucking state with you know, race relations, how they deal with, you know, people of anything else other than, you know, whites. I ain't want to just say it like that, but you know, so what we're dealing with at that point is the first state to move in this direction like that is also like one of the most backward states with race relations between their law enforcement and the minority people in that state. So you got to deal with like motherfuckers having to mentally prepare themselves to be able to, like, yeah, man, I can carry my shit. And, you know, it's one thing to feel like I safely can do this and I can protect myself. And it's one thing to be coming from the back end of it, like oh nah, these motherfuckers can't say shit to me now. I'm about to put my shit on my hip walking Walmart. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think it's gonna open up a whole nother level of aggression between the two. And I mean, we don't know though. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what all is entailed in that law. And I don't know what else might get introduced because of it. But jumping straight out, I really encourage the people in those areas affected by that to really prepare themselves mentally for what may happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, so what are some of these cities out here that have the most shootings in their communities? They're cities and they're states with strict gun regulations. They're not the cities and states that have easier to gain open carry permits and things like that. I know in Georgia you were looking at places like Kennesaw where technically legally you have to own a gun in your home. Um, under
Be a
those city,
homeowner.
yeah, if you're a homeowner, you have to own a gun in those homes. And you're talking about breaking and entering crimes and shootings in Kennesaw at very low rates.
Probably the
Um,
lowest in the state
yeah,
per capita. You know what I
and
mean?
Texas as well. Texas is not in as what the second largest state in this country is not getting the same amount of shootings as majority of some of these other states that have these stricter gun policies. Um, so right here we have
Why you think that is though?
because you know that majority of the people, if you kick in their door, they got a gun.
You know it's consequences of that
You
shit.
know
It
there's
ain't
consequences.
ain't
to
no
that.
speculation like, man, I ain't got shit in there. You know something going on in that door.
Listen, if you don't believe in your right to carry arms, put a sign in front of your house that says "No guns in this home" and see, you know what I'm saying, and see what happens. If we created a law where that had to go down, you'd have a lot of difference of opinion there. I really feel,
It's,
So they have a
you
they have
know,
a they have a poll right here that majority of Democrats, 85% of Democrats say no, 10 say yes, 4 don't have an opinion. This is a UTTT poll. Should adults be allowed to carry handguns in public without licenses or permits? Republicans, 56 say yes, 39 say no, 5% have no opinion. Independents, 30% say yes, 54 say no, 17 have no opinion. And overall, that's 34% that say yes, 59% that say no, and 6% that don't have any opinions whatsoever. Um,
and
I
that's saying yes to your ability to being having the right to carry.
Yeah, without a license or
Right,
permit.
right, right.
I agree with you. I think that we should. It is your right to be able to protect yourself. A lot of the mass shootings that didn't happen because somebody on those premises had a gun.
Right.
Um, Also, you know, let's just be honest about it, as you said before. You feel me? Gun laws are racist. Gun laws have basis in in racist policy. Before the Civil War ended, you had slave codes that prohibited black people to own guns.
Right.
Um, so you had a lot of things that were going on in our communities because the racist white folks knew that. Um, and you can look at why or what occurred to create the strict gun laws that we have in California. Um, and that was due to the Black Panthers carrying automatic weapons as they walked down the street. These laws didn't exist prior to that. The NRA supported gun control at that point. Isn't that something?
That is something.
You know what I'm saying? So, fully armed Black Panthers occupied the state of California, watching these police officers and what they did. And they went to the California state capitol. That reminds you of something, doesn't it? You know what I'm saying? Black Panthers peacefully with automatic weapons went to the state capitol and we got introduced to new gun legislation. A group of white people go to the capitol and nothing happens. I find that interesting.
Well,
So
they got called to the Capitol by
that is correct.
by
They
the
did get called to
person
the capitol.
by the person who was able to tell law enforcement to stand the fuck down. So we know what really happened. You know what I'm saying? But I think that a lot of this, I think a lot of people who have an opinion about the gun control and that are pushing for it, I think they push for it on the lines of like joining in the conversation and picking a side because gun control comes with like you got to understand that if something happens to you and the person that you call to help you, i.e. law enforcement, they have to have guns to defend you, and you need to understand that you probably need to have guns. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, I don't want guns on the street and this, that, or whatever. And the moment somebody has a gun, your first instinct is to call police. And the only reason you're calling them is because you know they have guns. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do know that everybody knows that that's how you counteract that shit. The old saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight, is as comical and as cliche as it is, it's a realistic observation on life. Unless you don't have guns in your area, guns need to be in your area. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have any presence of it. You can't have the underground market booming. You can't have motherfuckers that have to be licensed to have them, because there's plenty of motherfuckers who can be licensed that just ain't committed that crime to take them off the board from being able to purchase. And that's just legally obtaining the firearm. You know what I'm saying? We got ways to get firearms in every city. In Atlanta, you can come right down here to the expo. You know what I'm saying? And buy a gun off of a person and not actually go through an FFL. You don't have to have a license for that. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to be documented for that shit. You just need to have the money. So with that type of untraceable history behind weapons and all of that, I think that gun control shit, I ain't gonna knock somebody's opinion about it, because I'm sure there's some educated responses to it and I would love to hear them. But I feel like, me personally, in my own opinion, that gun control shit just need to sit down. Like, there's no reason to be regulating how, when, and where people carry their weapons. You just need to do more in the way of educating, because,
Right.
like you said, mass shootings got stopped because somebody had weapons. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, and generally the guns that they're trying to regulate aren't even the guns that are used in majority of mass shootings. I mean, the guns that are used in majority of mass shootings are in fact handguns, and you're finding all these regulations trying to stop rifles or
Right.
certain types of assault rifles being used. It's as if the people that are pushing these laws and the people who are rallying behind them aren't using facts and statistics and data. They're just kind of basing their
It sounds like
standpoints off of their feelings.
it sounds like they're using the news, because what the news can do is, remember that guy in Vegas a couple years ago that was shooting from that hotel room?
Right.
Um, and as much as I'm aware of how weapons work, I can see how fear can be incited from that, because you tell somebody, hey, he used this rifle, and was shooting people from, a quarter mile, half a mile away. It sounds more fearful. You know what I'm saying? But had Brett been shooting a pistol out of there, the accuracy, of course, is way lower. But you don't have no real numbers to say he'd have hit the same amount of people with fucking handgun. It'd have been a reload situation. You can buy drums for that shit. You can carry the same amount of rounds in a pistol that you can carry in a rifle. You know what I'm saying? They call them high capacity or whatever. You got standard mags in an AR holder 30. You can buy a 50 round, 100 round drum and put it on a Glock. You know what I'm saying? And that's a smaller, more concealable weapon. That's some shit that you literally can carry almost anywhere. Not carrying the rifle the same way. You know what I'm saying? But the crazy shit is laws are being pressed to allow you to be able to carry the more deadly of the two. Motherfuckers is pretty fucking fluid with how they operate and use a pistol over a rifle. I think motherfuckers is just scared because the news can push that narrative. And we both know how the media is. The media, I mean, the shit, it used to work on me as a younger motherfucker who didn't have the outlets that I have now to be able to find research and the people that I could communicate with to get more information about shit. But when all you had was the news, and some people still rely on that. So they see the news, they see rifle, and they think, oh man, that can kill an animal. You feel me? And we don't associate ourselves with animals, so it feels like it's more deadly. Feels like it does more harm than a rifle, than a pistol does. And people just jump on board and they start pushing to get legislation put into place without actually being educated. Like, motherfuckers ain't out here walking through Quick Trip with a rifle in their hand. That's not who you need to be afraid of. It's a motherfucker over there ordering a panini. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? With a Glock under his shirt arguing with his girl on the phone. He might turn around and tear that whole shit up.
Right. Yeah.
That's why you need your shit too.
I mean, most definitely. And going back to the racist origins of gun control, you can look at some of the major reasons why the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, was formed. They were formed in the 1800s to stop um, slaves from or black people from being able to vote. You know, the late to mid 1800s, which honestly caused a lot of black people not to actually vote for a very long time uh, from fear of being harmed and hurt. So you're talking
Right.
about new generations of blacks that are first, second generation black folks in this country that are just now starting to vote since maybe Obama, you
Yeah,
know?
that's big
So
facts.
and so the thing is that a lot of people just don't understand how much legislation has been pushed in this country to prevent black people from owning guns is one of the reasons why felonies are pushed on you, to keep you from being able to own a gun. So how many
Right.
black folks in this country do we have now that can't own a gun due to some bullshit ass felony that's not even a violent crime related?
A felony that their white counterpart got a misdemeanor for, or maybe even a dismissal.
Right, right.
And that's a
So
whole nother conversation because how many of these felonies were ultra preventable? Like, I understand the standard as wrong place, wrong time, wrong situation. But how much of this shit are we putting on ourselves also? You know what I'm saying? Because
well, we're
some of
voting.
the
We're voting in those directions. I mean, think about it this way. We've been so brainwashed by the Democratic Party, bro. We voted for three strike laws. We voted for minimum sentencing. We voted for integration. We just put this motherfucker into the White House that's not doing shit for black people. So
yeah,
a lot of this
we
shit is what
voted
we're doing
for
to
we voted
ourselves,
for a
bro.
color. We voted for a color, man. The government, in all honesty, bro, I feel like the government took heed and did some research and saw how much we can align ourselves with some colors because that represents something. You feel me? It ain't no different than when the fucking gang wars are going on, when it was blood versus Crips. They like, yo, they'll divide over that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they know. You feel me? And there's research. There's people who make a whole career off of documenting these numbers and the wave of and the waves and the mental manipulation that you can cause just by separating shit. And that's all they doing because, and I say this shit all the time, but the left wing, the right wing, it's all on the same bird. I don't believe that they operate independently the way that a lot of people do. So there's no real sense to me to I can have a favorite, but I don't think that this administration is that different from the last administration or the one before that. Any of them, for that matter, you feel me? But I think that us as a community can just get tricked into shit. You feel me? They can tell us like, hey man, we're gonna allow you to get government assistance, blah blah blah, and then just take a loose ass staple and on the very back page put another paper on there that says, but also we're gonna come into your community and lock y'all motherfucking men up and keep them out of your family system. We ain't studying all that shit. That's like that, that's like that. I mean, we'll take one loss, man, but we got 5 wins, minor ass wins, but we're gonna take it because that's just how the law of fucking of numbers work. You want more. You know what I'm saying? And we don't look down the line for a lot of this shit. We look at what's going on right now. We ain't
Right.
even look past the 4 years. You think the motherfuckers allowed Biden and Kamala to get in there because there was gonna be some lifetime commitment to that shit? Like they know, and they know that 4 years ain't shit to push their own agenda. So they working. They working in the background. We just out here trying to figure out the next fucking couple of years, bro. And we pushing for this shit like anything that he may be able to do ain't reversible.
Yeah, man. We can talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Let's go into it. You feel me? We can talk about all the black communities, all the black productive um, communities, right? That we have had in history that have been destroyed over time through um, white militants um, coming in and just overrunning and destroying these communities. You know, we could talk about we could talk about Philly. We could talk about the Move organization. You know what I'm saying? We don't even discuss these things where black communities have been bombed in this country. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We can talk about Oklahoma Greenwood. You feel me? Where over 300 black residents were killed in the 1920s.
Right.
Now, we can talk about these things. We can talk about Rosewood, shit that likes to be swept under the rug. There's a pretty good movie about it, you know. And this is during an era where black people weren't allowed to own guns. Some did, you know, thankfully. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about the Seneca Village in New York, black settlements. You know what I'm saying, that were taken over by white folks. We could talk about there's a good movie on Netflix called From the Mud or something like that. Um damn. From the Mud, I want to say it's called on Netflix.
Hmm.
It's a whole movie about this Mudbound. Mudbound is what it's called. So there's a movie called Mudbound. It's about two Mississippi families, a white one and a black one. And this black family lived on this land. Um, the white family moved, but the black family couldn't own land. So they just lived on and continued working it. You had a poor white family that didn't have nothing, that left state to state to rent out some property. They didn't have cell phones back then. So they didn't get word that the property was being rented to somebody else until they got there. And they just found some open land and took it over. Went to these black folks who were already living on that land and said, we own this land now. You work for us. Go out there and till the land and blah, blah, blah. Bring us back X amount of money, or you got to go.
Right.
Stories about permits being taken over, pink slips of homes and property being taken from white men with guns coming into these communities of land that black people own and just saying, look, you can either give us your pink slip or give us your life. But those black folks couldn't own guns and didn't own guns. And if they did shoot back, they'd have got lynched, one, for even having guns that they weren't supposed to be owning, and two, for killing some white folks. So gun control is racist. Shout out Mom.
Let's for sure get that show and get it in the subscription. I mean in the description or whatever. So that the listeners can go, you know, directly to that shit.
Shout out Maj Toure. You know what I'm saying? You can go check him out on Instagram at Maj Toure. You feel me? He's a big proponent of you know, black folks owning guns and owning them safely and being educated on their usage. You know what I mean?
Hey, spell his name out, because you know we got spell his name out so people can find him.
Majtoure. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, dope brother. You feel me? He knows what he's talking about. He can argue it, his background or his belief with anybody. You feel me? Black Guns Matter is one of his organizations. You know what I mean? And he has some shirts out, all gun control is racist. And I agree with that sentiment.
Big facts.
So we kind of go on.
Uh-huh.
What you saying?
I was gonna say at whatever rate, I was about to refer back to when you started what you were saying. And the whole thing with the move situation, you know, I'm a supporter of John Africa, bro. You know,
right?
And a lot of people ain't really with that separatist shit, but you know, I talk that shit all the time. I'm with the resegregation. I don't push it as a militant movement though. I push it more in the line of like preparing ourselves for what is inevitable. You feel me? And all of this shit, the one thing that we didn't mention is that those white racists who came in, infiltrated or took it upon themselves to ruin that shit was our government. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
It's the same motherfuckers we voting for. You feel me? So I think that's big. Like, it's just one thing for us to say, hey, KKK or the white nationalists or Aryan Brotherhood, whoever, any you know, white dominant movement, you know, we can pick that shit out and we all know we can point them out and we can see them. And a lot of times we kind of forget that the major kill shot to what we had going on that really was the most progressive shit has been our government. It's the same motherfuckers we keep wanting to run out here and vote for because we think people are changing. and shit just ain't changed, bro.
Yeah, man, go look it up. If y'all don't already know about it, go look up the Move organization. That's capital MOVE organization. Go look up John Africa, who was the founder of the Move organization that was founded in the 1970s. He was about natural living, natural laws, um, and they literally bombed numerous blocks of a community in predominantly black areas. We don't talk about that. That was a government. So all you black folks who are so pro gun regulation with kids and shit, so all you black folks who are so pro gun control, understand, for one, why your right to bear arms, why your Second Amendment exists in the first place. Your Second Amendment does not exist for you to go out to the forest and go hunting. Your Second Amendment rights exist in case you are confronted with a overbearing government. That's why your Second Amendment laws existed. And the people that created those Second Amendment laws, right, who are being overbeared by the British, right, prior to that, owned you. They owned you. So it was even more overbearing upon you. So just understand, any law that's put into place is going to affect you in a worse way than it affects everybody else. There was no stipulation on who minimum sentencing was supposed to be applied to. There was no stipulations upon who 3 strike laws were supposed to be applied to. They're supposed to be applied to everybody equally. But see, we have a broken, I won't say we have a broken system, but the individuals that run this system are broken in favor. It's a racist system because the people that run this system are racist. So they're in your communities making sure that they arrest you and for petty drug charges and crimes and things like that.
Well, you know what they did was because, and we talked about this a minute ago, but they make those laws open on the back end. So it's like, hey, we passing this law, and what they really are doing is just giving states a maximum that they can do to you for it. And then the state can go in these individual cities where the predominant population is black, they can still impose shit under the maximum of what they were allowed to do federally. So it's not like they passed this shit and this for everywhere. You feel me? You can say, hey, if a motherfucker get caught with an ounce of weed, we're gonna give him the death penalty. But I'll also allow you to not give him the death penalty. That's just on you to decide. You go into these individual cities and you go to the fucking Hamptons. It's like, yeah, we catch it with weed. We just let them go home and take their weed. In Philly though, we're gonna go ahead and give you that death penalty they was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this shit is just, they present it to you so that it sounds like it's moving forward. And we don't do enough research, bro. And they make these laws like literally 500 pages of fucking gibberish. You feel me? Because
we got no knock warrants being sent out, not for drug lords, but for petty drug dealers. That's causing situations where they not knocking, and if my door gets kicked in, I'm gonna shoot at you too. If you don't tell me who the fuck you is.
As you should.
As you should.
Know what I'm saying? And that's how they gonna hit you with the numbers. Crazy shit is a lot of that no knock shit, dog, is presented as a way to fucking ascertain the highest level of violent offender. You feel me? But these no knock warrants is coming on motherfuckers that haven't even shown violent tendencies. These no knock warrants is coming on motherfuckers that are known to be associated with a motherfucker. You feel me? With kids in the home. Like there still has to be, and there's not, but there still should be some way of fucking monitoring and quelling that shit, because they'll come no knock, kick your shit in with hammers, weapons, and smoke, You know what I'm saying? And it's because you know this motherfucker. And
Yeah,
they seen him over there a week ago.
we can talk about Breonna Taylor, but we can also talk about Katherine Johnston. You feel me? 2006, murdered in her home at the age of 92 because the police had a no-knock warrant. I want to say this was in Atlanta, and did not knock at the wrong home and killed this woman, you know, um, in her home. She shot
Right.
back. She thought her home was getting broke in. She had a gun. She shot. They shot and they killed her, from my understanding. And I believe they went to jail for that because it was the wrong home in the first place.
They get real sentences.
I don't believe so. I think they seeked out felony murder, but I don't think that they got it. I'm not too sure. I think they mainly got in trouble because they made false statements.
Right. And the crazy shit
in
is
relation to it.
You know, the eye of the law, it has an affinity for its own. So it'll hug out. It'll hug out other law enforcers and, you know, tell them, hey man, I get it. There was a mistake, one on your end. You were given the wrong address and she ended up dying. It's almost like calling collateral damage, man. Like, and there's so many laws in place. There's shit that me and you are able to do to people on the just the EMT scope, right?
Right.
That I don't necessarily agree with. Like, I don't agree with, you know, a person not being oriented enough to fucking exist on their own and me forcefully taking them. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's all kidnapping. It's all shit that we shouldn't be involved in, but it's a part of the fucking law. I don't know if you remember the guy in New York. He had one of those medical alert bracelets or necklaces or whatever, the pendant.
Right.
And his shit went off or whatever. And when it went off, the police went over there, you know, hey, we're gonna check on you or whatever. He didn't want to open his door. He telling them through the door, like, I'm fine, whatever. And they said that they could hear the operator because he had like the little box. And, you know, they could talk. Like, hey, Mr. Jones, you okay? He like, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need police, whatever. And they fucking kicked that door in, tased him and shot him, dog. And this is an unarmed man, though, you feel me?
Right.
And it's like, you know, there was a whole argument, debate about beanbags and different ways to do this shit. But I'm like, why the fuck are you armed entering this man's house off of a medical alarm? And this is some shit that as a firefighter, we enter these homes, you feel me? But I ain't never went in one like, hey man, I need police backup. It's a fucking medical alarm though, right?
Right.
But you want to know the plot twister here? He was black, dog. Like I've never seen this hit the internet and it was a white guy. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
this is just the one that hit the news. So we don't know what the fuck has happened that didn't hit it because all this shit don't hit the news.
I'm not even gonna flex, bro. One of the most disheartening, I will say, I don't know what other word to use it, but like I'm sitting here watching this video with my mouth wide open, pause, is not a black person killed by police. That's the crazy part.
You're not about to say the young boy in the hotel, are you?
No, the young boy in the hotel, bro. And the crazy part is how it's been swept under the rug. Why is that not national news? And that's not national news because if they see it happening to themselves,
they don't want change.
They're gonna want change. And that video is crazy, bro. That video is crazy. George Floyd doesn't capture what you capture in that video. That is a crazy video of a
because the young boy like got on the ground like he said and crawled towards him, right?
He gets on the ground. Yeah, he gets on the ground. He's in there because he's an exterminator. He's an exterminator with a gun that shoots like some type of fluid that's supposed to kill pests or some shit. He's walking back out laughing with some chick, and he gets met with an assault rifle and a police officer telling him to get on the ground. How it fast forwards to where the woman has been dismissed, and this young white kid is on the ground, on his hands and knees, being told to crawl to the officer. He's trying to crawl to the officer with nothing in his hands, crying his ass off,
Right.
begging this officer to not shoot him. This officer's like, if you don't listen up, if you fuck up again, I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
And he's like, please, I'm unarmed, don't kill me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. And he's like, and he's asking his kid to cross his legs, lift his he's giving his kids all these different directions, man. And he falls, and the officer lights his ass up.
Light him up, bro.
Lights him up. Lights him
You
up.
know the crazy shit? Me and you have never talked about that situation. That's how rare it is that I knew exactly what the fuck you was talking about.
Bro, you feel me?
You know what I'm saying? Like, we literally have never discussed that
We have
situation.
not discussed that
ever.
situation.
And this is from years ago. And as soon as you said I'm looking at, I already knew what you was talking about, bro. We didn't even have to talk about the different possibilities. Now, there's no you talking about the young kid with the cap gun or the kid with the Skittles. You talking about shawty in the bed. There's none of that shit, right?
Right.
And this lets us know how prevalent it is in our community. But that shit was spoken about, and I saw more niggas, I saw more black people speak out about that situation than white people. Because them motherfuckers was like, oh shit, one off. It don't happen to them. You feel me? Like there's not enough anger and hatred in them over decades of fucking abuse and misalignment of power to even have like the will to jump out on this shit and speak for years about it. Like, we speaking for years about this shit.
Go look up, if you guys are listening, go look up a video on YouTube called Mesa Police Daniel Shaver. This is a white kid. So just for all y'all out here that just think, for one, I want to specify that we are going through something specific to black people in regards to police. But just understand that this is happening to everybody, but it's happening to us at a much greater level. Okay. And this just comes to show you that anything that occurs in this country, be it stricter regulation, be it stricter legislation, laws, and everything like that, are going to affect us greater than they affect anybody else. We're not going to act like there's no white people locked up in jail right now over petty drugs. We're not going to act like there's no white people, no unarmed white people that have been killed. But it's not happening.
They're collateral damage.
They're collateral damage. And but if this stuff had national eyes on it, things would be different. But they're sweeping this shit under the rug. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about this young white boy. Another one, I don't have the specifics on this one. I think I maybe seen the video like once or twice. Young white kid who gets shot in the back running from police. They don't talk about these things. Because if it gets put out there and the white people are seeing that it's happening to them, what did that news reporter say? There was a news reporter who has the brother that's like the mayor of New York. Or no, not the mayor of New York, the governor of New York. Andrew Cuomo, whatever the fuck, he has his brother. What's his brother's name?
Cuomo?
Yeah, Chris. Chris talks about this. Chris Cuomo talks about that. He talks about how it's going to take white people to start dying for shit to change. And that's the truth. We see it right now when it comes to drugs. White people are dying at crazy rates from drug abuse, opioid abuse, at quicker rates than they're even being born. And what are we doing? We have all this new drug reform. When niggas was dying from it, what was they doing? They was locking niggas up for it. You have hundreds of thousands of people in this country right now with felonies due to petty drug crimes that white people got misdemeanors and probation for.
Right. And they figured out a way to make the drug different, right? Cocaine came into this country, And it was like, shit, we're gonna give you less of a penalty for powder. But if you got hard, you're gonna have to do real time for that shit. Like they figure out ways to do it. If you don't want to listen to Chris Cuomo say it, Farrakhan said that shit. And Farrakhan said it a little more aggressive. Like these police and shit gonna keep doing it until you stop allowing them to go home to their families. You feel me? Like, I think the police is gonna act out and be like when you go to different states or different areas where people treat the police with the respect that they get treated with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know motherfuckers from New York. You know what I'm saying? And I've been there. There's places where the police won't enter it.
Right.
You feel me? Because they know that the motherfuckers is gonna let off on them, and they don't have the numbers for it or whatever.
I'll
And then
say
there's
I'll say
places
I'll
like
say
here.
there's more so here. More so here than in New York. Not so much in New York no more, bro. Like New York, you can go to
Out in Oakland.
yeah, out in Oakland, even still
Yeah.
out in Oakland. There's some places motherfuckers won't go out here, bro.
Now I was just saying, make sure you specify because I don't know if the listeners
Oh
know
yeah,
that
know
you
that, yeah,
recently
yeah.
took off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so even out in Oakland, there's places that people won't go. Not just in Oakland, in California. You feel me? Going down to LA, even the Bay Area, and so on and so forth.
Because they know that there's a disregard for their whole existence there, and these motherfuckers is. I mean, they play the numbers game. Like, bro, you come in here and it's 1,200 people in this area. You just gonna get knocked off, and it ain't really gonna be no conversation about it. There's gonna be some investigation, but how likely are you to figure this shit out? You catch one person out of it, and you want to pin it on them, but the message is sent. You feel me? The next motherfucker who come up on that call, man, I ain't about to go in there. You know what I'm saying? Like you eradicate that fear.
But it's crazy though,
Like,
because the only reason though is because see, we gotta do away with the falsehood that police are not respected in the hood. All right. Police are respected in the hood. They are. Police are respected in the hood when the police that come into the hood are from the hood, and when they come in there and they act right, and they're not just there to try to fuck you over and lock you up and try to get you on some bullshit. See, police from the neighborhood can go into these communities and speak to these people with respect and correct them
because they know the language.
Because they know the language, and they're going to be respected. See, a lot of these videos you see on online, one, they're not in urban environments. They're not in urban environments, and two, a lot of these black folks that you see these videos in. I'm not talking about the shootings. I'm talking about where the black person's recording, blah blah blah. Some of them aren't urban people. We all ain't from the same places. We all don't have the same experiences. You're not really going into the hood and seeing and when something go down with police in the hood, 88 different people with their camera phones out. You're not seeing it. And so it gets a little bit swept under the rug. You feel what I'm saying? But police can be respected in these communities if the police come into these communities with some goddamn sense. Straight up.
Well, and that's
wait. I say that just to say this. I say that just to say this. That because in the last video, I remember we spoke about dismantling the police and this whole, police defunding the police, and we kind of spoke against it. And so I don't want people to think that I disagree with that. I still agree with not particularly defunding the police. And I think that we need police in these communities that are a part of these communities and understand the language of these communities.
Facts. When I say around the time I first met you, I think I remember talking to you about this shit, and I was like, bro, I don't think that, and it might have been after that, but I feel like it was somewhere a while ago. A part of that reform that's happening, like they need to know, they need to adjust, they need to recruit in consideration for those communities. Because I don't think that you should work in a community where you're not familiar with the type of people in that community. Because you can't take me, you feel me? You can't take me and train me to be a police officer in fucking 8 months and throw me into New Mexico You feel me? Where I don't understand that language and like literally don't understand that language and don't understand their culture. You feel me? Like there's certain shit I'm at a disadvantage. And the advantage that I do have is the law and a gun. You feel me? And that's what a lot of these motherfuckers is gonna feel like. You take a motherfucker who grew up in the top end of Gwinnett County and he want to be APD and he go through fucking training and you put that motherfucker in College Park on Old Net. You feel me? Like he don't understand their language, bro. He don't understand that, you know, when a black person is bigger than him raise his voice, bro projecting his voice, it don't mean he about to kill you though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because for some people raising a voice, it can scare them enough to pull a weapon. And it won't necessarily scare me, and it won't necessarily scare a motherfucker who understand and they from that area. But you just can't have them in them areas, man, because that's a big liability that you're taking, and that's a risk for the motherfuckers you training and putting out here. Because the law can be universal, but the way that you enact and try to protect the people in certain areas, that shit ain't universal. It don't operate the same way everywhere. You feel me? You're not gonna go to you know, Buckhead and somebody gonna, you know, you pull up on the scene and there's 500 people out there yelling, fuck you pigs, we'll knock your head off and shit. You feel me? Like it's gonna be a little sweeter than that. It's gonna be a little calmer. It's gonna be a little more, you feel me? Something that you can handle and you don't have to feel rattled by. You're gonna come into that same situation where it's predominantly black. They don't respect and look at you the same because you're not from there. But it don't mean that they doing something to you. You feel me? Motherfuckers is getting hit. It's crazy how many of these like we look at. So so I check back on a lot of data sometimes with these shootings with black people getting shot and you know by police or whatever, and it amazes me how many of these fucking situations, like we all know the ones where motherfuckers were armed because those usually make the news. But it amazes me how many of these motherfuckers is not armed, like not armed and not even presented a weapon. They just somebody felt threatened though. You feel me? And we're not able to hear from their side of the story because a lot of times these motherfuckers have died in these situations. But like you gotta tell me though, you feel me? Like fuck what your department gonna allow to get printed or put out because they trying to protect themselves. But like, what was your threat though? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of that shit is vocal, bro. Like this is somebody yelling at you though, or screaming or making a threat. You feel me? A vocal threat that ain't had shit to do with a fucking weapon. And there's motherfuckers who just scared, bro, scared to get hit or scared of the possibility of getting hit. You feel me? And a weapon is your fallback. Like that ain't even, I ain't gonna say fallback because I feel like that's the first line of defense. Before a motherfucker even addresses you in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them fucking calls we be seeing that make it to the news, you don't hear that what you think is gonna happen first. You don't hear that get on the ground, put your hands in the air. You just
Right.
hear a gun going the fuck off. You hear, hey man, and then a gun going off, right? You don't even hear what we think should be that like there should be a succession, right? It should be an order of events. And motherfuckers, you should try to quell that situation, figure it out verbally, and get some handcuffs on the motherfucker. But it goes straight to guns, dog. Because motherfuckers are scared.
Right.
And I'll tell you, if I had to go somewhere and you told me I had a call and I had to go somewhere and I was a police officer and I went into that motherfucker and it was, you know, 800 people with a trench coat on with black fingernails and dark eyeshadow, you know, men and women. To me, that feels like, you know, trench coat shooters. These is the motherfuckers who be killing me. You know what I'm saying? But my alert level is gonna be higher there than it's gonna be around some niggas with tattoos on their face shooting pool with charges and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I know them,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I
you
mean,
know,
so my alert level might be slightly high. My alert level, I'm gonna be a little bit more alert. I you know, I don't really fear much of nobody. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me. You feel me? But I feel like we're creating individuals who subconsciously have some form of inferiority complex.
right?
You feel what I'm saying? Um, and I don't have that. I don't feel inferior to no man. So I don't step in a space and particularly feel threatened by anybody. You get what I'm saying?
Do.
Huh?
I said I do.
So you know, it's a different things. I think that we like to blame outside uh entities on internal issues. You know, the internal issue is that um we seem to feel a type of way in which we feel like, one, we got to prove ourselves. You know how many videos I see where some white woman's doing some fuck shit and some niggas on there, or a police officer's doing some fuck shit and somebody feels the need to have to explain themselves to the white woman or the police officer, or tell them how fucked up they are, and you know they should be ashamed of themselves and all this extra shit. You know, they don't feel ashamed. They don't feel no type of way about it. Stop explaining yourself to these people. Stop trying to appeal to to a conscience that clearly does not exist within these individuals.
Oh, and you know the crazy shit is. Go
uh,
ahead. Go ahead.
also, so when it comes to these police situations, I think our fear is that we feel like somehow, some way, if we don't have that gun on us, we're gonna make it out these situations because we can appeal to their morals, and we can make ourselves seem docile in front of them. And if you ain't got it in your head yet, you can die anyway. You can die anyway. But listen to what I'm saying in regards to that, because with me saying that, that doesn't mean um in in science, evolution is millions of years of fucked up. Millions of years of fucked up. What I mean by that is, for things to get to a point where they're not fucked up, your body, your biology, your body has to go, oops, that didn't work. Let me try something different. Oops, that didn't work. Let me try something different. Oops, that didn't work. Let me try something different. Oops, that didn't work. Let me try something different. That kind of worked. Let's expand upon that. Oh, okay, that works a little bit better. That works a little bit better. But you're talking about masses of species that die out due to it just not working until finally it does. So when I see a Philando Castile that does everything that we determine to be correct in regards to carrying a gun, having a gun license, informing the officer that he has a gun and he has a gun license, and still getting shot, that doesn't make me go, I don't need to have a gun, man. I'm gonna end up dead. That makes me go, okay, I need to have a camera in my vehicle. And if I do have a gun, I'm gonna put my hands on the dashboard potentially, and I'm gonna go, officer, I have a gun in this vehicle. And when he goes, okay, reach for something anyway, I'm gonna go, officer, I'm not reaching for anything. Potentially, right? I'm not gonna reach for anything right now. Especially if you have your gun drawn.
But see, there's two varying degrees of evolution, though, right?
Go on.
So Philando Castile's situation was a situation where he didn't evolve to the evolving world outside of him, right? So we got that long-term evolution that you just spoke about. And then we have, so there's
because we don't want to talk about the actual dialogue that I feel like occurred in that video. We don't want to talk about the dialogue where he says, I have a weapon in his vehicle, and the officer says, get your ID. And then he starts reaching for the ID, and the officer says, stop moving. He says, you told me to get my ID, I'm gonna get my ID. And the officer shoots him. Now, did the officer tell him to get the ID? Yeah. But you are still the person that you are, and you are still in the predicament in which you were in. And so once you start reaching for that ID and that officer says, stop reaching for the ID, nigga,
there's nothing you can do at that point.
Nothing you can do.
It ain't got shit to do with you. And that evolution for me came quicker, right? Because I've been pulled over and somebody told me to get my ID, and I told them I'll get out of the car, put my hands on the hood, and I tell you what I ID at, you can reach in there and get that shit yourself.
Right.
You feel me? So evolution, it's got its own, it's got caveats though, right? And evolution operates different. There's a green lizard species that has evolved from in the last 17 years or something like that, like after 2000. You feel me? And it's evolved at the rate that it took humans to evolve over a span of like fucking 50,000 years or some dumb shit. It's a weird ass number though, right? But it's not that long. You feel me? But what I'm saying that to say is that the evolution of what we talking about versus what's going on outside of us means that we're evolving to some shit that happened 5 years ago and it's not the same now. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So our evolution is stunning because we don't even know what the fuck we're evolving to. Like we don't know what the fuck we need to move towards because there's so many unknowns. Like right now, we don't even know the fuck shit that's gonna happen before the end of this year, that we're gonna have something new to fucking have a conversation about or something new to have and that's the beauty of this shit, right? And I hate to say beauty like that, but you don't get an opportunity to sit stagnant too long and dwell on any individual incident because something comes along to push this narrative a little further and we have to figure it out from there. You know what I'm saying? Because if there was a way to know what was going to happen now when Martin Luther King was out marching, like there's not a person alive that could tell me he still would have marched. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, the
like
thing is, there was a way. There was a way, and what that has to do is not being emotionally based, but being factually and data based. Um, and that's very important. That's very important. You know,
assuming that data was available.
well, the data was available.
I get
The data, not all of it, but the data was available, right?
I mean, not for now, because we weren't able to predict how the laws were going to interact with the people. We were able to predict how we were unfairly treated and unfairly prosecuted then. But the shit that he fought for, a lot of that came into fruition and there was no real way. Like we weren't able to know what the fuck the counterpunch was. You know what I'm saying? When somebody said, all right, man, we'll allow you to come to our schools, but we weren't able to know that on the flip side of that, there was gonna be some upended, like some higher elevated ass punishment for minor shit that went on in the school anyway. But now it's just because a black person.
Let's talk about it. We had numerous different other people, other revolutionaries that already spoke about why would you allow your enemy to teach your children? I mean, this is just logic, right? So
That's big
potentially,
facts.
let's say potentially the data doesn't exist. Logic is objective. Logic isn't subjective. Logic fits rules. The only difference between your logic and my logic is whose logic fits those rules the best. All right. So at the end of the day, logic would tell you that that's not a good idea. Logic could tell you that. The people around you will tell you that we're not ready for that amount of, honestly, we're not ready for that amount of freedom. Because when we got it, black family, black business, black economics took a turn for the worse. Why? Because when we got access to whiteness, we didn't value blackness. So when we got access to whiteness, when we got access to white banks, white grocery stores, white transportation, we completely abandoned our own shit. A lot of the things that we
become white
because we tried to become whiteness. And so that was out there. That logic was out there. That frame of thought was out there. At what time did Martin Luther King ever come on any platform and speak logic? He always spoke ideology and ideals. And the thing about ideals,
I won't say that though. I won't say that. I won't say. I will say initially, towards the end before bro died, there was a lot more logic introduced to his argument, and it became a lot more militant. It became a lot. I honestly feel like that's why the shit went the way that it did, bro. Bro spoke a lot more militantly, and it wasn't that like shake hands and hug it out. It started to sound more in alignment with the way Malcolm was before he came back. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Bro started speaking about, like Malcolm started speaking about, Martin. He started speaking about, man, fuck all that shit I was talking about these last however many years. We got to go put hands on motherfuckers. And the crazy shit is when bro got killed, he was like 32, right? Something young though.
Nah, he was almost 40, I want to say.
He wasn't that damn old. I don't know. I don't think he was that old. But you know what I'm saying? But
He was older than 32.
But I got a couple of little videos that I've seen and watched over, a couple of times, but bro had a whole nother fucking like way that he was 39.
Oh, yeah,
he had a whole nother way that he was viewing and approaching this shit. But even at 39, bro, this motherfucker was speaking. I ain't gonna say because I'm not with the peaceful shit 100% of the time, but I will say that if I was with it, there's no reason for me to believe that this motherfucker was anything less than 60. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't knock or degrade or pretend like what he pushed for in his presentation of what he pushed for wasn't on par with being what he is, as far as history is portraying.
Culturally, there are people that I was raised to love and respect.
Right.
Martin Luther King is one of them, right? Tupac is one of them, right? Mac Dre and Too Short, you maybe not, but me being from the Bay Area are some of them.
Oh, Thiz Nation.
Yeah, Thiz Nation. There we go, right? All right. But
and 40 is still prevalent, bro.
Tupac, I'm 35 years old.
Right.
Tupac died at 25 years old. Tupac had 10 years less experience than I do when he died. And then he died in motherfucking 96.
Right.
When you start becoming a critical thinker and have logic, all that nostalgia shit goes out the window. I love Tupac. Some shit he said was right. But the nigga was a kid, bro. 25 years old is somebody I look at right now and say, bro, you a kid. What the fuck I look like?
I say it to
just blindly following a Tupac Shakur and what Tupac Shakur said. Blindly.
I only say it to niggas that I know their circumstances.
I fuck with Mac. I fuck with Mac Dre. I fuck with Mac Dre. Mac Dre was around my age when he died. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, the culture that Mac Dre pushed and Too Short pushed is beta male shit. Pimping Mac and getting everything from a bitch, blase blah, not supporting, not protecting your women out here in the streets, blase. It's not masculine energy shit. So do I have nostalgia when I hear the music because it was the kind of energy I was raised off of? I definitely do. But I have to put my adulthood in front of that. I have to put my feelings aside, and I have to look at the logical aspects of these situations and say that these are people that assisted with our degradation to a place where we should not be.
Right.
So we can have nostalgia about a 29-year-old MLK because our grandma and our parents felt the type of way about it. But what makes sense, and what doesn't make sense. That's just point blank, period. And a lot of shit that Martin Luther King was talking didn't make sense. It was all ideology. And when he started making sense, when he started talking about economics, data, and all that other shit,
they killed him.
They killed him 6 months after that. So we can't sit here and say that a lot of shit he said was in regard to that, because he didn't have a lot of time to say it. He literally got killed 6 months after. I want to say it was around 6 months after one of those that speech where he went talking about owning land and pretty much affirmative action, white affirmative action. There's a good book out there that talks about some of the things he talked about by author. I think I said it before, named Ira Katz Nelson, in regards to, it's called When Affirmative Action Was White. So if y'all want to read that book, to kind of give you guys your grounding on when white people come and talk to you about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, because Martin Luther King spoke about that in that speech.
We'll make sure it's in the description, though.
I think it's in one of the other videos, but I'll try to remember to put it in this video as well. Yeah, I mean, yeah. When white people talk about pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and things that we need to do absent of government, you can then pull up all the things that in all the places in which they would not be if it wasn't for government.
Right. I mean, government is their whole existence. That's how they was able to maintain control. So I don't knock it, bro. Because if we came in this bitch and dominated and took over the way that they did, I would push for the shit that they pushing for.
Most
I'm
definitely.
not, you know what I'm saying? Like by all means, stand strong on the shit that you got going on, but understand that there's a reason why and the crazy shit is the motherfuckers who are in power, they're not lost on that. You feel me? And it's the same shit with black people, bro. And this is some crazy shit, but you know, I was doing some research on it, just on some freehand, just some free time shit. And the motherfuckers that I see who are the most productive, prominent blacks, they don't carry those core values that the motherfuckers who look up to them carry. You feel me? Like you're not gonna catch. I never heard Jay-Z say he thanking God for something. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never heard any of our black prominent scientists come out and speak that same shit that we down here believing in at the lower end of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
At some point, it's just gonna become important to just take a chance, bro. And I know a lot of people is just not gonna want to take that chance because it's been drilled so hard, though. It's been drilled into our brains like this is what it is, and culturally culturally religion is the backbone and the foundation of everything motherfuckers believe in. Even when you start to venture away from it, you use religion to justify what you're doing, and motherfuckers is doing that shit to a degree that is hindering our ability to take in extra information, and it's fucking up the way that we're able to interpret what the fuck's really going on around us. Like we see the world, but we keep trying to justify this shit with information that's so outdated and not relevant to what's going on right now that we really just falling the fuck back another 200 years and just trying to figure shit out. And there's so many people around and we just don't want to believe that shit. It's just hard for motherfuckers to take in what people are saying to them when they look like you and they're your age. You know what I'm saying? We culturally come from a place where the old heads are the ones with the knowledge. You got to go find a 70-year-old to tell you how the fuck life's supposed to be and what's supposed to be going on. And when a motherfucker, your age or even younger than you presents this information, it's like it's some bullshit to us. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
that's a hindrance. You feel me? Because the motherfuckers who coming out with this information now, and even when we go back down to the relationship, the basic shit, you feel me? Kevin Samuels, Umar, any of these niggas we following, bro, they not old motherfuckers, bro. And a lot of people have a conflicting ass thoughts about it because they just don't present themselves as a motherfucker that we feel like knows enough. Because we wanted to be based on shit. We wanted to be based on knowledge from years and years and years of this shit. But motherfuckers don't need all that.
Well, we rather listen to LeBron James or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Than some of these scholars and people who are in our generation that are critical thinkers. LeBron James can shoot a ball. I'm not saying just shoot. I'm not saying shut up and shoot. I'm saying that the people that as an individual and as an individual with a platform, I think that it's good to voice your opinion and be a spokes and try to and speak for social issues. But I also think that we need to come from a place of educated opinions. I think that's the at least we can do.
Hey man, don't put LeBron in here, bro. Don't put LeBron in.
No. I mean,
I know what you're saying.
I fuck with a lot. Shit, to be real with you, I fuck with a lot of what LeBron does. I use him as an example. I'm not necessarily using him as a negative example, if that makes sense. I don't disagree with a lot of LeBron's stances on things. LeBron is pretty close, bro. LeBron has to be somewhat PC. I'm not even gonna flex because of his position as one of the greats. But if you go listen to LeBron when he's on that show on YouTube, when he's talking about the barbershop show, talking about how he didn't grow up with no white folks, he ain't grow up with no white friends, and he was like, when he got sent to these schools, he was like, "Fuck these white folks." You know what I'm saying? He says it as if that was a past opinion. I feel like it's still a present opinion of his. I do. He just can't come out and really say that because of his position. The crux of that, though, or not the crux, but the the double-edged sword of that is that I feel like if you aren't in a position to speak your truth, don't speak. If you can't speak it, the truth that you feel, don't speak. And at the very least you can do is let people know, listen, they can't fire you for that. I'm not in a position to speak how I really feel. So I'm going to shut up about it.
I think LeBron was a missed call on that one because bro had spoken. You know what I'm saying? But LeBron don't got to worry about that shit. You feel me? But
The fuck
the
you don't?
motherfucker who
Yeah, you do.
nah.
How so?
Now nothing happens, LeBron. LeBron has spoken up about social injustice. You feel me? And there's always communication
he has
about
spoken
it.
up about
LeBron,
social justice in a PC way, bro. In a very PC way.
and I want to say a PC way, but LeBron has never been known to be vocally aggressive. So that's just not his style of speaking,
Course.
right?
No,
But
we
you
don't
got
know that. We don't
motherfuckers.
know that. We don't know that. You're talking
I mean,
about a
but
man on.
even
You're talking about a celebrity. You're talking about a top class athlete on a.
now, we're talking about that now.
Yeah, but
You feel me?
when you're
But
talking about when he was a kid, LeBron is what? How old is LeBron? Our age?
36, I think,
30, 35, 36. He's been in the
his his entire adult
his
life.
whole adult life. So what position, and he's been held on at a high standard his whole adult life. So at
On
what
the
point?
so on the
At what
barbershop
point?
show.
Wait. At what point have we had a LeBron that has been in a position? LeBron, when I was 20 years old, when I was 22 years old, we didn't have Twitter like that. We didn't have Facebook. Wasn't to everybody at that point. Facebook was you had to have a college email address to be on Facebook at that point. So at what point have we had a LeBron who has been free enough to be able to speak the truth?
But LeBron has spoken the truth though. So
LeBron is PC.
comparatively, we can speak that shit to motherfuckers who don't have the same prominence as an athlete. That's why the fuck the Kaepernick shit happened. He didn't have the same voice as LeBron. That's why the fuck the what's brother name that was kneeling when Kaepernick was kneeling.
Listen, brother, you and me both. You and me both have worked together in other jobs. And I don't know if you remember my my outlook on things, right? But I didn't necessarily fall in the line with everybody else that was around me. You know this, right?
I mean, for what you saying, then I was PC.
No, I disagree. I disagree with
Like
that.
we don't have the crazy shit is most motherfuckers that know both of us will not tell you that me and you have aligned views on shit. They good, you know what I'm saying? Like we just talk a little bit differently. You feel me? But there's not a point where you gonna be able to say like, oh, this nigga think that, there should be gun control and this, that, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because we speak about it, but we both understand how we communicate. We just talk differently, right?
Yeah.
Your presentation of information is a little more aggressive than mine. I think that we still have the same viewpoints on a lot of the shit that we talk about.
On a lot of shit, most definitely.
But there will be people that'll say like, maybe my presentation is a little softer than yours. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't necessarily feel like it negates from the message that you presenting. But I mean, it's different though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know that shit. You feel me? Like, and I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with how you present information. The same way I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with how I present the shit. But it's the same information. It'll just take it'll take for somebody to be like, you know what? And we have a mutual acquaintance that's been like, you know what, man, Dante said that same shit, but it make more sense with you saying it. And my response to that shit is like, yeah, you just not equipped to handle his aggression about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you get into your emotional zone about it, and you start reacting off of the emotion of how it made you feel, as opposed to the information that I gave you.
But it's cool though, right? Like me and you understand it, but everybody don't understand that about themselves. So some people ain't gonna be able to receive information without that shit being like placed into something that they can understand.
That's a lot of people. But my whole outlook on it is, and see, you do it. I don't think you necessarily express yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong. You don't necessarily express yourself with particular purpose. And what I mean by that is that you express yourself to express how you feel about something, but not necessarily to test and or um, change people's minds.
Never to change their mind. Now to test and understand where they at with it. I do that all the time. But I've never taken it upon myself to convince somebody to believe what I believe.
Right.
But
You're the
presentation of
type of
facts is
person.
me.
Yeah, you're the type of person that give out facts, and then you'll leave it at that. You'll say this is a fact, and if they say nah, it ain't, you'll be like, all right, bro. But I'm the kind of person that I go, this is a fact. Here's the data to support what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
the
that's what I
beauty-
mean by like trying to prove, like not that I give a fuck if I persuade you or not, but
Right.
I'm gonna show you that I can back up what I'm saying, and you can too. But you just don't necessarily give a fuck enough.
I mean, I can, and there's times where I'll do it,
Right.
and it's usually personal. You feel me? I've talked to you and been like, yeah, we can pull this shit up. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I do understand how people receive shit, and
Right.
and at a point, I mean, me and you both can look at the same person, and I can see if we say something to them, and they kind of like shrug it off and roll their eyes and shit. For you, that's a challenge to convince them. And for me, that's a look, bro, I'm gonna give you this information. You know, later on, you're gonna go pull that shit back up and figure it out for yourself.
Right.
I just need to plant that seed a little bit. And I think you more along the lines of like, hey, nah, motherfucker, you ain't walking away until I give you what I got. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I love it. You feel me? Because that's a good 1-2 punch. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't receive it that way. Some people want to be able to be given like that opportunity to do it for themselves.
But see, what people don't understand is that in Kevin Samuels, in the way he speaks to people, and even in the way I speak to people, it's all part of the test. And they don't understand that. I'm not trying to get through to everybody. I'm trying to get through to people that understand.
Right.
I'm not trying to conform and change everybody. I'm trying to weed people out. I'm trying to weed who I consider weak links out. Because if you can't take the knowledge I'm trying to give you past the presentation, that means you're the type of person to cut off your nose to spite your face and not take the medicine because of the taste. So you're a weak link. That's a weak.
I thought you was about to rap.
Cut into a rap, nigga. Yeah. Like the intro, nigga. Nah. You feel me? But like,
yeah,
that's what I do. So if you unfollow me or you don't want to fuck with me because I'm making sense and you don't like it because it doesn't sound good, let's go back to Snowfall, nigga. You feel me? I built this shit from the ground up.
brick by brick.
You know what I'm saying? Brick by brick.
And you gonna tear this shit down because you don't like the way a nigga
But another motherfucker talk.
Yeah,
nigga.
bruh.
And niggas will clap their hands and repost that shit. That's probably one of the most reposted quotes in regards to that show on YouTube, bro.
With and rightfully so.
Cause you don't like the way another nigga talk, nigga.
You feel me? And drive, motherfucker.
You feel me?
Like whole time. I don't and that's what I'm saying. Like, I fucked with your presentation. I ain't never had no issue with it, right? But I can tell you, I can right now I can think of 3 times that I know for sure. As soon as you walked off, somebody said, "Man, what's up with your boy?" And I was like, shit, he ain't said nothing wrong. You feel me? And I've challenged some shit like, what you feel like he said wrong, and they'll say it, and I can say it back to them, and they like, man, I see what you saying, but he ain't gotta talk like that. And I'm like, bro, listen to what you doing though. You feel me? Like maybe he just appears as the more aggressive motherfucker, and you just immediately want to like dissent. You just kind of want to buck on that shit.
That's your feminine energy, bro. That's their feminine energy. That's feminine energy, bro.
So it could be feminine energy, or it could just be, because honestly, if you'd have been talking to me, so the way that me and you communicate, if you had said some shit to me that I felt like I wasn't informed about, or if I felt like you knew more than me about it, I could easily feel fucking defensive too. And I felt that way, bro. Which is why I take it upon myself to like anything to read that passes by me. I gotta figure this shit out because the biggest fear that I have, bro, and this is the most childish shit. And I'm about to say it on here, and I shouldn't be doing it, but my biggest fear, bro, is for somebody to present something to me and I have nothing to fucking say, bro. Like I don't feel like I need to know it 100%, but I
Right.
can't be like the bottom nigga in this conversation. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I never want that shit. Motherfucker come up to me and be like, yeah, man, I pour concrete.
Right.
I gotta know something about pouring concrete. I gotta have an input on this conversation and I gotta be able to present a fact. You feel me? Like I can't be the nigga like, oh man, I don't know nothing about that shit. Like that's important to me, bro. As silly and as trivial as that shit sounds,
But it ain't got to be right now during that conversation though.
I want it to
so
be during that
I mean, I
conversation.
do. Yeah,
It don't
yeah, yeah.
have to be.
It don't
You know
have
what
to
I'm saying?
be.
But I'll
So
come the fuck back. You know
I'll
what I'm
come
saying?
right.
But
I'll come back but see, that's the thing. I'm not just gonna input my opinion just to have an opinion on that subject and look dumb. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna listen. And I wish I had an opinion right now because I feel like anything anybody bring up, I should at least know enough about to have an opinion about it. But if I don't, I will withhold my opinion about it. I'll go back to the drawing board. I'll go do my research on that, and I'll come back. I'll come back to you about it.
always.
In the military and the fire department, we have a saying, and that saying is that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that doesn't necessarily just apply to movement and doing things, and relaxing and calming yourself down. That physically, that applies to mentally. I don't always have to have an opinion about something. We just had a subject that we might encounter at the end of this fucking podcast, in which I said prior to bringing it up, I don't have enough information about that
Right.
to particularly feel comfortable about expressing an opinion about it. Tay know a little bit more about it than I do, so we're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna give you what I know.
Right.
But it's okay to not know. It might not be comfortable. I don't like it, but it's okay. But what is not okay is that in the past, I've had conversations with motherfuckers, and Tay know this too, that had differences of opinion with me. And I say, I give them the information to go look it up. And I come back the next shift and I go, did you look that up? And they go, no. And then they still want to maintain a same point perspective and a same opinion. That's lazy scholarship. I don't respect it. That's all emotional and cognitive bias, cognitive dissonance based, and that's your feminine energy. Women are emotional.
I don't want to call it feminine, man.
You don't like that. I don't necessarily like that either, but it's not masculine. So whatever word you want to replace masculine,
we just gonna call it. We gonna call it second. You feel me? That's your second energy because women don't all operate the same way, and I know some. And these are outliers.
Well, you want
these
to
are
exactly
outliers. So I'm not
outliers.
gonna say it like it makes them all the same way, but
say that
I
again
do
for me,
understand
please.
it.
Say that again for
Relax,
me, please.
relax. But I do know that they'll be listening, and I don't want that conversation to come back on me personally.
These are outliers. Exactly. We not when we say all women, yeah, we understand that that's outlier mentality. You know what I mean? Those are outliers. But majority is feminine energy, bro. And see, the thing is that women aren't necessarily meant to think the same way we are. We are the builders. We are the creators of this earth.
Right.
We are. Y'all, we create the things, y'all create the people. Nobody put one in front of the other because without the things, the people couldn't exist. And without the people, the things couldn't exist. They're just different roles, sweetheart. And at the end of the day, y'all put what y'all role is behind what our role is. We don't. We're not the ones that want to sit at home with the kids all day because we know it's work. We know it's work, but we want to do the work that feels comfortable to us. Sitting at a desk filling out. What's up?
Sitting at a desk filling out what?
Sitting at a desk filling out paperwork. Like we don't want to do that. It's not that it's not work, but we feel more comfortable doing different kinds of work. That's it.
Crazy shit is there's a whole generation of young men, and that's what they want to do. But what I was saying is this shit sounds eerily similar to the alpha beta conversation we was having. remember I was telling you, I feel like neither one of them is more or less, important to the society as the other, because you gotta have you can't have one without the other though. You feel me? You can't have a nigga step up and lead this shit with nobody to follow. You feel me? And that leader ain't gonna get a lot of shit accomplished without them niggas there to handle that grunt work. Slick the same shit. I mean, and it operates in a different capacity.
Well. See, we think that things occur the way they occur, absent of biological intent. Right? There are less
Right.
men on this planet than women. Point blank. Period. Why? Why are there less men on this planet than women?
And I give you my
You can't
can I
have
give you
more.
my answer?
Wait. Well, give me your answer.
You want to give you my hood nigga street answer?
Sure.
Because we supposed to have more than one chick. You feel me? And that's just shout out to all my poly couples out there. Raise your hands and clap.
Hey, I definitely disagree. I definitely do not disagree with you there. But for me to plant on top of that, right? We're supposed to have more than one chick, but also you cannot have more bosses than you have employees.
Right.
For a business to function correctly, you cannot. And those same bosses, i.e., men, we don't live as long.
Big facts.
We lose 10 years to y'all. On average, 10 years to y'all. And then
guess what else?
If y'all happen to go before us, we generally don't live for more than a year past y'all.
I don't think it was a whole year. I thought it was like 10 months.
I don't know the exact number. That's why I said
this
more.
Is crazy.
That's why I said no more than a year. Generally, we don't live no more than a year past y'all. So the point of that is just that's biology. We're meant to lead, and there's meant to be more of y'all than there are us. And y'all are meant to be primarily some of the doers than we are.
Some of the doers for the sake of what social media has allowed and made what we consider doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the crazy shit is, bro, we exist in a whole fucking world where, I ain't gonna say a whole world, in a country where we've lost to the government also, my nigga. So the government has even decided, you feel me, with the institution of alimony and child support and all this shit, that even in a situation where this relationship is no longer viable, I'm still expected to be the doer. You feel me? And this goes back to a conversation me and you had, and it was like, shit, niggas and shit is coming up trying to figure out a way to accrue funds and find the best job possible so that he could take care of that family and that woman. And the woman is doing the same shit just to take care of herself, though. You know what I'm saying? So even when this nigga loses a situation, he still got to take care of that old family and this new one. You feel me? Like, you're not even able to move along on a clean table, my nigga.
Right.
Like you moving along on the table with plates already
with baggage on. Right. Exactly.
You try to figure out where to slide in, because even when you decide you want to rectify this situation and figure this shit out, the government placed some protections in place where you can't even go do that. You feel me? And granted, that shit does come with like force and shit like that, but
and the woman don't bring nothing else but pros outside of kids. And then even that, they're pros for hers because she still expects the new nigga to come and be a father to those kids. But
you bitches have 3 incomes, dog.
But without the discipline. So she expects the nigga to have all these pros for the kids. I'm gonna tell him, I'm gonna give all the good advice. I'm gonna spend all the money. I'm gonna buy this little nigga shoes. I can't whoop him. I can't chastise him. I can't tell him anything he's supposed to do.
Right. You can't help guide this motherfucker.
Kwame Brown talked about it. And it's funny because one of my disagreements revolving Kevin Samuels, and it's not really a disagreement as much as it is I don't think that is fully the case, is that he says men created this planet, which is true, and men can control what can you do as a woman without men? Can you, if all the power was to go out, how many women can go to these power plants and get that power back running? I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. when it comes to technology, when it comes to some of these things. But how many men know how to come out here and plow a field and grow vegetation and or hunt or fish or fight and protect?
That disparity ain't as large as we think.
You don't think so?
Nah, man, these niggas
I don't think we've been tested at it. I agree with you there. I don't think we've been tested at it. I think a lot of that'll come natural, bro.
Yeah, I think physically, when it comes down to it, who's gonna be more able to is gonna be us. You know what I mean?
Right. How long we been going right now?
Uh, I'm getting that bullshit. Yeah, I don't know. It don't show me.
It don't show. Sad little minute. Let's go. You got something to say to close it? To close that subject?
Where's we at? Who's that? Men and women with the continuation of shit.
Yeah, go on and close. Go on and close it out. I'm going to close it out.
I'm gonna move forward to the closing point I wanted to make. Damn, bro, I just forgot. Close this out, bro. I just fucking forgot. I lost it. Hello? Did you leave? Hello? Anywho, I don't know where he just went, but I really want to make sure that everybody has an understanding. Like, you know, we come on here and we speak, we come on here and we talk, and you know, sometimes it can sound misogynistic, sometimes it can sound like we are for and against something that, you know, a lot of women gonna feel like we don't have no right to speak on because we're men. You feel me? But I think that it's important to understand that there's a clear understanding and view that you have to have on what's really going on in life. And that view has to include the fact that there's a separation between men and women. There's a separation between colors, any of that shit. There's always a separation. And as much as we want everything to be equal, it's not, and it won't always be equal. So it's important to understand your place. It's important to understand your contribution to society, your contribution to your counterparts, all of that shit. And we just got to fucking figure it out. And I think a lot of us have figured it out, but I think a lot of the holdup has been coming from being able to implement whatever it is that we believe, because there's hangups, and there's people who believe a certain thing, and there's people who understand a certain way, and a lot of us haven't adapted and understood a different way of understanding and making that situation something that we can all capitalize off. It's been a versus. And as long as I can remember, we fighting back and forth, men against women, black men against black women. You feel me? And our battle has become some shit that it was trivial information at first. And now it's becoming a detriment to the entire movement that we have going on. Like this shit is starting to
entire movement that we have going on. But see the thing is, at the end of the day, bro, and the sisters ain't gonna want to hear this because they're gonna feed off of emotion, but it's the reality of the situation. There are more women, period, on this planet than there are men.
Right.
And on top of that, in this country, right, there are white, black, or other, primarily black. There are more men incarcerated than women. So that drops the numbers even more. Then you talk about the percentage of folks in LGBTQ who aren't even looking for somebody of the opposite sex.
Right.
Then you put into the factor the men who are already married. 90% of the women out here are given the same 10 to 20% of men play. The same 10 to 20% of men play, 90+% of women are giving them play. Y'all are at a disadvantage here. Y'all are.
And we didn't even calculate the niggas that they feel are undateable because they haven't reached a certain level financially.
Financially, height, dick size, any of that shit.
All kinds of shit.
All type of shit, bro. We haven't even calculated that into the equation. So y'all catching L. That's an L. If you want anything more than fucking and leave them. And I've yet to meet a woman in life. We can go to Amber Rose that just got put on blast for sending another chick messages in regard to this nigga that she fucking with from Oakland, right? Who's been on her little slut walk thing when she was single. Now she got these kids and shit. Now she's happily involved and blah blah blah. See, majority of y'all women want to be in relationships. Majority of y'all do. Niggas, I can't necessarily say that. But the majority of y'all women want to be in relationships. So and if y'all don't right now, y'all will in the future. Y'all will. We can go to Tommy. We can go to Halle Berry. You can't keep a man. Most beautiful woman on this planet for years. Can't keep a man. Can't keep a man for shit. You name her. You name her. They can't keep a man. But these men are still out here steady getting them. And they doing what they want to do with them.
And them bitches is steady massing numbers.
In massing in numbers.
You know what I'm saying?
Future got 7 baby mamas, bro. 7 baby mamas. And I'm listening to a podcast in which you have a woman that has the nerve to say that Future got 7 baby mamas and he is being what's the word? He doesn't have damn. He's being irresponsible. Let's agree. Let's agree on that. Let's agree on that. Let's agree that Future is irresponsible. That's one man. What about his 7 baby mamas? That's right. 7 women to one man that are irresponsible. 7 women to one man that's irresponsible.
And 5 of them kids probably came after the fame.
Come on, bro. That's 7 women to one man that's irresponsible. That goes back to the 10% of men that's getting play from 90-something% of women. That means that's potentially maybe 10 or less men being irresponsible to let's give a 10% gap there, right? 1 to 10% of men being irresponsible, or 11% of men being irresponsible, to 80 to 90% of women that are giving these niggas play being irresponsible.
And all Future doing is living closer to the Bible than the rest of us, dog. They better go read that story of Own It. They better go read that Own It, man, because you ain't supposed to pull out, man. God will smite thee. You feel me?
They're not ready. They're not ready. Real quick.
I'll pull that shit. What's
real
up?
Quick, let's move on real quick. I feel like we've been on that one for a minute. We've been moving subjects, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
None of the subjects we had listed. All right. I think
for the
go on.
Go ahead. Oh, for the people listening, you know what I mean? I want y'all to come into the comments. We want to try to get it so that we can invite some of y'all in to get some input from other people. But I know we want to speak about. I want to speak about the Black people and our introduction. I ain't gonna say introduction, but our interaction with, the stock market and this cryptocurrency game. I know that some of us are going into that shit blind, but I know that some of y'all out there got a whole lot more input. I'm not well versed in it. You know what I'm saying? I know you said you weren't, but it is a thing. I know we both aware of it. You know what I'm saying? We both aware of the basics of it, but I do want to get more insight on that with somebody who's able to speak about it and present it. You feel me? Especially if we can get somebody to come in and get put into the actual debate or the actual conversation about it. I think that'll present some good information. You feel me?
Right. Most definitely.
From last time, I do want to get some people with a little more input on the law that was passed in Georgia with with allowing people to be able to protect themselves. I know we spoke about it, but I've spoken with some people, since then, and I want to get a little more input. I'm gonna try to get somebody to come in and speak with us about that shit. The Robert Downey joint, you know what I'm saying? We spoke lightly on it, you know what I'm saying? But I want to do a little bit more on the
Yeah,
cancel culture.
explain to people about the whole Robert Downey Jr.
The Robert Downey joint, he played blackface on Tropic Thunder. Basically he played blackface as a white actor in a movie. You know what I'm saying? So it was
He played blackface as a white actor in a movie playing
yeah.
blackface.
He
It's a
was
movie.
su-
It's a movie within a movie.
Yeah, so he white in the movie, and he go through this controversial surgery to make his skin black for a movie. But it's somehow found its way into cancel culture, and that ain't necessarily the major part of cancel culture I want to speak on. But I want to speak on our fucking movement and the thinking that everything is becoming cancel culture. Because they at a point, I just saw some shit where they talking about canceling Snow White because Prince Charming kissed her on the mouth while she was sleeping and she didn't consent. I really want to speak on how
Which
outrageous
she
this shit is
wouldn't. Her
becoming.
ass wouldn't even be alive if
You
his
feel
ass
me?
ain't kiss her. But she
Yeah,
ain't
you know what
consent.
I
So
mean?
fuck her life.
Yeah. You feel me? Like,
Like
bro,
there's no logic behind that shit, bro.
bro, kiss right there or some shit. I don't even know what the fuck to call it, but
And the
I
Robert
feel like
Downey
it.
Jr. thing, bro. Robert
Uh-huh.
Downey Jr. thing is if you're gonna cancel Robert Downey Jr. for playing a character in a movie that played blackface, which was the point, he was a character in a movie that plays an actor that was doing blackface for a movie.
Right.
So he did blackface as the character in the movie. If you got to cancel him, you got to cancel every actor that says nigger in a movie as a character, every actor in a movie that lynches a nigga in a movie as
Bro,
a character.
if you think black people gonna get rid of Leo, you might as well hang yourself on that one, dog.
So I'm saying, so at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense.
I think
It's
so.
nonsensical. It's a nonsensical
So
argument.
So I brought that shit up because I think that a lot of cancel culture is uninformed. I think that a lot of times we just jump on fucking posts because it's got, 80,000 shares and we ready to share and pretend like we taking a side on that shit. But realistically, we're not understanding what's really going on. Because most of the people when I commented about that shit and I was like, how the fuck you gonna cancel Robert Downey because it is blah, blah, blah. I really found out after I commented that at least half to probably 70% of the people who had an issue with it didn't even know what movie it was from. And when I said, so y'all telling me Tropic Thunder was like, you know what I mean? And they was like,
Which
I
is a
don't know
good
what
movie,
Tropic
by the
Thunder
way.
is.
Good movie.
Yeah, but they was like, I don't know what Tropic Thunder is, but he should have did blackface. And I was like, you don't even know the movie. You feel me? Like y'all just ready to cancel shit. You know what I
But
mean? This is
we're
that
breeding a
time.
generation of emotionally driven people, and the question is it correlation or is it causation to the fact that the amount of men being raised by single parent women is at all time high? I wonder. I wonder.
A lightweight correlation. I mean, lightweight both, bro, because there's still I mean, I came from that type of situation initially. You feel me? But I think that
What you
shit,
mean?
like I came from a situation with it was me and my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Don't
so
do
I
that.
get
Don't
it.
do that. Don't do that.
Nah, but there's a way that you interpret information. Like me and somebody else can come from the exact same situation. I know brothers that grew up with just their mom and they got two different outlooks on shit. One of them
Yeah,
was
but
just
that's anecdotal. That's anecdotal. So we're not saying that every man raised by a single mother goes to jail, but we do know that a high percentage of them do. We're not saying that every single girl raised by a single mother gets prostituted or runs away, but a lot of them do.
yeah.
If we're not saying every, then we can't say the anecdotal situations are kind of irrelevant. I don't know your life,
No.
and I don't.
I ain't speaking on the mass population. You know what I mean? I'm just speaking on my familiarity with those situations. So
Okay.
I do know that there's enough people out there to be able to understand and this shit not be getting pushed as the major movement like people portray it. Cause I mean the average nigga who when he got a job and know how to treat his family and shit don't speak out and say, "Hey, I was raised by a single mother." You feel me? Like he shut his mouth because he going to fucking work and doing his job. It's the motherfuckers who came into problems and that's what they want to blame it on, or they want to present that to somebody like this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, or you know what I'm saying? Like it comes from the turmoil of the situation, but the motherfuckers who successfully do it, they're not included in that data, bro. I've
I mean,
never
no, no.
seen the report get
This is
put.
what I'll say. I'll say this: that there are outliers, obviously, in every situation, and some of those outliers are have been lucky enough to have other males in their life that might have been raised by um by other men, had a
I
grandfather in
mean,
their
but
life, had uncles in their life that had time enough with their father
I mean,
before
I
maybe
mean, but
something happened or whatever.
some of them haven't. But we haven't seen a report that says, well, I'll say I haven't. I haven't seen a report that says, these are there's this many guys who were raised by single mothers who successfully transitioned into a nuclear family situation without any fucking problem. Like, but they're out there though, right? And there's a percentage of that shit. Like, I don't know those numbers. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying? But
mean, but see, you can be a Wade and a Gabrielle Union. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't change the fact that you've been beta mailed and you've been put in a position of femininity because Gabrielle Union has been put in a position of masculinity. She's gotten in she's tapped into her masculine energy and he's tapped into his feminine. I'll let my little boy run around here in dresses and shit. That
so
doesn't that
so
doesn't
you
mean that that
saying that
can't that can't work that way. It just means that the roles have switched, which
so
means that
you
the
saying
result is going to be different.
so you saying that moving forward, going D Wade is a thing now.
Going D Wade is the thing, bro.
All right, appreciate it, man. Because we're gonna use that shit for comedy later. But yeah, I get it though.
You know what I mean?
I get it though.
Niggas is going D Wade.
Niggas is going D Wade, bro.
Straight up. So I'm saying it can occur and you can be successful. You can live your life that way. You can, but I don't think it necessarily sets up a successful situation for generations to come. And the only argument we're gonna have here, in a sense, is that we're not there yet to see a success rate.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about 1, 2 generations. And they're
I
not old
mean,
enough to see. So these women that are growing up right now who are saying that they're okay being single, we're just now seeing the product of that and they're just kind of now starting to funnel in the loneliness factor. You know what I mean? Or the
right.
having to lower your standards factor. We can talk about uh um Kamora Lee Kamora Lee going from Russell Simmons to this white man at an adult age, at a past 40-year-old age, of a white man that seemingly has money, but is now being having charges pressed against him for um, gaffling the system to get it.
Right.
We could talk about your what's that chick name in Mendici who from Love and Hip Hop, who just did 4 years for selling drugs. So that's how he got his money. We could talk about tons of these older women who are seemingly being successful in relationships in their older age until you really delve into these situations. We could talk about Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Um, Old girl dating this Carly Red, not Carly Red, but whoever dated this nigga afterwards, dating this nigga named Arkansas Mo.
Mhm.
Get 12 years in prison for a PPP loan fraud.
Well,
12 years. So we can talk about these women who seemingly are moving on and moving forward in their life successfully at older ages, and the kind of niggas they getting involved in. We could talk about Vivica A. Fox dating a nigga after 50 Cent and then realizing that she's paying for everything and
right.
not liking it. So you go into these successful women out here and see where they are. Halle Berry paying alimony right now on the man she married. It's not successful. They're unsuccessful, but we're just now seeing it. But we can see it's where it's trending towards. So what it's gonna be? Yeah, we'll see. But I know
Yeah.
anybody in the financial game, you're gonna bet on where it's trending, right?
Right. That is a
Um,
bet.
let's talk about this whole lastly, we're gonna touch on this before we go, I guess. Um, let's talk about our or y'all president. And when I say y'all, I don't mean Tay and mine. I mean y'all motherfuckers listening who voted for this motherfucker.
Y'all motherfuckers.
Y'all motherfuckers. Let's talk about this dude. Let's have
with all these beliefs.
A state of the union. Let's talk about it. What's currently going on right now? Biden misses the deadline on police reform.
The year anniversary for George Floyd's death.
By the year anniversary of George Floyd's death.
Hey, so I'm gonna tell y'all motherfuckers, I told you.
We both told, bro. Everybody.
Now, and I hate to be that dude because I want to stand in unison and shit, right? But
right.
I told y'all motherfuckers, bro. I told y'all when y'all was speaking about everything that was supposed to be done in these 100 days has not happened. It's been 100 days of fucking failure, right? Bro was supposed to be doing this shit, this George Floyd thing. He's supposed to be fucking with your student loans. But instead, he went down there and like, yo, let's open up these gates and let the immigrants back in. Like, he doing a bunch of shit that's counter what the fuck you don't even know actually helped you out. You know what I'm saying?
Wait. Let's compare apples to apples, right? Let's compare apples to apples. Congress is set to miss Biden's deadline to pass police reform bill by the anniversary of George Floyd's death.
Right.
But what did he have time to pass? Let's talk about that. What did he have time to pass? He had time to sit in front of TV with your Asian American vice president of black with a whole bunch of other Asian women because she ain't black. She's not black. She's not a sister, right? To pass a hate crime law in regards to Asian Americans. Isn't that something? At that time, we had a whole vice president who ran under being a black woman and the first black woman as president. And all we've seen of her on newspapers and magazines and everything else is her being the first Asian American president. Because she's not a nigga, y'all.
Crazy shit is before she ran, she was also an Indian American. I'm not going into that shit. I mean, we all know her fucking backstory or whatever, but
listen to this. President Biden tweeted out. Hate has no place in America. And I look forward to making that clear this afternoon by signing the COVID-19 Hate Crime Act into law. Right? This is what Harris said. Here's the truth. Racism exists in America. Xenophobia exists in America. Anti-Semitism exists in America. Islamophobia, homophobia, and transphobia, because apparently all those are the same thing. Right? It all exists. And so the work to address these injustices wherever it exists remains the work ahead. It's funny how at no point in time, I mean, she says that around the same time she says that America isn't a racist country. Isn't that interesting?
Well, because the one thing that she didn't say also exists in America was that unequal ass justice.
To what?
You feel me? She know better. You're gonna speak about Asians, trans, and all this other shit, but you need to say what the problem really is. They're not in the news speaking about this shit daily. They're in the news speaking about this white on black thing.
Why don't we talk about, let me ask you a question. Why don't we talk about Christian phobia? This is coming from a man that's not Christian, right? Christian phobia. Right. We can say Islamophobia.
We don't speak about it because the people in power ain't Christian.
Is there Christian phobia?
There definitely is.
Is Islam a race or is it a religion?
Islam is a religion.
It's a religion. How was there Islamophobia and there's no Christian phobia? How was there is anti-Semitism racial or religious based?
Nah, anti-Semitism we can't tie that to everything because in this country, Islam is tied to blacks and fucking terrorists. That's the only way that you're able to fucking identify it outside of your home. everybody is a fucking Christian at some point around here. Mexicans are Christians, you feel me? Because Christianity covers so fucking much. Like once you leave Catholicism, motherfuckers, bro, and believe it or not, there's motherfuckers who Christian that go to a fucking Baptist church that don't think that they following the same thing as the Pope.
There's
And
motherfuckers that
and
don't understand that Catholicism is a subgroup of Christianity, bro.
Christianity is a subgroup of Catholicism.
Man, that's another argument. Christianity,
But
Catholicism
they're the
falls under the
same thing.
category of Christianity.
They're the
In my
same
book.
thing. You
Yeah,
want to call big
that's what
man
we
something
coming through.
different,
That's what we
whatever.
coming
Though.
to. All right.
You know what I'm saying?
In
But
both
there's ways of
Islam,
this shit.
in both Islam, Christianity, and so all three, and Judaism are all Abrahamic religions.
Right. Judaism, I don't even fault for a lot of shit because they got they only exist off of a separate book of this shit, and they got their own shit going on, but the motherfuckers ain't over here judging. I'm blaming these
my
motherfuckers
question
that's
is
over
this.
here judging.
My
Right.
question is simply this. You say, here's the truth, racism exists. And she's saying this in terms of Asian Americans. Because when we started talking about Black Americans, she said America isn't a racist country. So now we're talking about Asians. And racism does exist, apparently. And so does xenophobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, and transphobia, because apparently those are all the same as racism. And I disagree. You can hide everything. You can hide all that. You can't hide race.
You can't.
You can hide all that.
No matter what. I mean,
We know. Listen, I don't know if you remember. You remember Sam? Irish Sam. White Sam.
Man, if I tell you how I remember Sam and the first shit I just thought of when you just said his name, you'll understand where you coming from. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The first time I met Sam, I ain't gonna say the first time, but around the first time I had a real conversation with Sam, he said that he was over here in this country and he was dealing with somebody and they treated him like a white person. And I said, man, what the fuck are you talking about? You white? Sam said, I'm not one of these crackers. Right? And I said, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Because it took me a little second to gather what was going on, but Sam got the same view of white people that I got.
Wait. Sam has the same view of white people as you got, as a white person with the same views with the same views on everybody else as they got. That's the funny part about it.
Now don't get me wrong, Sam got the same views on black people.
Yeah.
But I can't even look at Sam and call that shit racism. I can look at Sam and say, hey, bro, Irish, and that's what the fuck he believe in. So everything else is his conditioning. But
Sam is white.
That's fuck.
Sam is white. We both know a guy named Ricky. Ricky is Native American, Latino, but niggas like 4'4", dark skin. You know what I'm saying? He's a native. He's not one of these white Latinos, right? He's clearly a native.
Right.
Right. One of these two people has a green card. And one of these two people is a citizen. And it ain't the little Native American motherfucker that has a green card. And the little Native American motherfucker has been here for a long time and got his citizenship. And the Irish motherfucker has a green card and is here on a work visa.
Right.
All right. But when you sit here and you listen to these motherfuckers in that warehouse talk, that's not what you would assume. A lot of them would come over to him and talk about Latinos or Native American, whatever, as if he's not an immigrant.
Right.
So you can hide that shit. You can hide being from another country and act like you're from here. You can hide it. You can hide being a Jew. You can hide being a Muslim. You can hide being a a gay person. You have whole trans people that still got beards, mustaches, and dicks, and they sitting here talking about their women. So you can
Right.
clearly hide that. You can't hide being a nigga
Hey, on some sidebar shit,
unless
right? You
unless you're
ever see that
Kamala
movie?
Harris. Then you can act like you're a nigga and you be an Asian.
Hey, look, you ever see that movie Juno?
I have.
Or Umbrella Academy?
I
The
have.
chick though.
Yeah.
She's trans now. Her
Yeah,
name is Elliot.
she got her whole titties cut out and everything. I could have
Crazy
told you
shit,
that though.
right? Now I didn't know until a
Demi
couple days
Lovato.
ago.
Demi Lovato is they or whatever the fuck. Now apparently.
Yeah, Demi was solid.
Demi was insane heroin addict. How you be a young heroin addict? Anyway.
And
So
I get it, though.
that's what's going on with your president, right? What your president also did is going back on is check this out. So we talked about Congress and your president failing to meet the deadline for police reform, but he ain't talk about that. He ain't come up and talk about that. Right?
Nah, he won't.
He hopes y'all forget, right? Then we could talk about how he counters that with an Asian American hate crime bill, right?
Mhm.
That's what he does, and that's what Kamala Harris is sitting back and hold down. And then when she does get on TV or on radio, she says America ain't racist no more, right? What else? What else did he go on that got a lot of black folks seeing that education in the black community is on a rise? College education for the black women is on a rise. College education for black men is on a rise. College educated black women are some of the most in debt women or some of the most in debt people in this country.
Them not real stats, bro.
What do you mean?
Them not real stats because bro 3 months in, 4 months in, dog. Like you're not accruing that kind of data yet.
That's not current new data. That's data that's been out there. Black women are some of the most in debt. They're not paying off their college loans at the same rate as.
I'm saying I feel like you were speaking about new presidents fucking input on how that shit has been affected.
Oh, nah. All I'm saying is that that's already data that's been placed out there.
I got you.
And that is some of the reason why he got voted for.
Mm-hmm.
Black women and black men voted for this guy because he said he was gonna run on some form of student loan forgiveness. But guess what he did? He dropped student loan forgiveness in the new budget. He dropped it. So we're not even getting that. So what is this guy doing for Black America right now? Besides trying to push this vaccine on y'all and create a system in which you can't do anything in this country unless you are vaccinated. While these vaccines have stipulations upon them which pretty much state that they aren't responsible for the adverse effects regarding you and the vaccine.
Like the motherfuckers with blood clots and these enlarged hearts and shit, and why you can't give them to kids.
Come on now. About how it's killing the antibodies in your system.
Bro, I just said some shit the other day, and I was like, Sebi had been giving you information for years, for 40 fucking years, on ways to treat. And I'm not gonna go as far into with curing, but ways to treat or prevent these illnesses, right? And everybody had an understanding about how they feel about medication and shit up until they presented this 8-month ass fucking vaccine or whatever. And I've never heard of a vaccine that don't prevent you getting the shit, right? Because that's the whole fucking definition of a vaccine. But now they present a vaccine like, yeah, you still gonna get it, but you won't get symptoms. Like, my nigga, why in the fuck are they taking off masks? So you can still spread this shit. Bro, let me tell you what I'm waiting on, dog. Because the one thing that they always know before we know is what the fuck is coming. You feel me? And there's a wave coming, dog. There's a wave coming, and there's gonna be a push to fucking further increase medication. And that's how the fuck, because Big Pharma own this shit, bro. Big Pharma own about 50% of this damn country, bro, because well over 50% of this country is medicated right now. And that's how the fuck everything is capitalized here. Like we don't live in a country where motherfuckers is operating off what's right and what's wrong. We live in a country of what's operated on like based off of money though. And Big Pharma is one of them fucking money generators. So one of the biggest ways for them to get that money is to keep fucking getting you taking medication. Now, I gave you that COVID vaccine. It's gonna be, you ain't gotta pay for that shit. Pull up to any one of these little spots, they gonna shoot you in the arm, blah, blah, blah. We got them, our department do it. You feel me? We come out and give out that vaccine, but crazy shit is, I can imagine how many people pulled up to get that vaccine and you just pull up, roll your window down, we're gonna shoot you in the arm. Ain't a motherfucker that shot you in the arm got that vaccine, dog. Like if you can't look at the motherfuckers who giving you the vaccine and know that they have it, then you need to start questioning shit. You got to start understanding and figuring out for yourself, like, my nigga, there's something else going on. And I feel like some other shit gonna go on. They had to recall the Johnson and Johnson shit after they had already fucking gave it to enough people that, enough people died from it or had complications that caused near death that it was worth fucking bringing up in the media. But realistically, dog, if it takes, how long will it take? What, 12, 15 years for a vaccine or for a medication to even be viable for you to give to people?
Right.
And then magically you come with some shit in 8 months that don't actually prevent it. What we talking about, dog? We talking about another 8, 9 months before we figure out what it adversely is doing to people.
Yeah. Yeah. I have friends that I know directly that have gotten vaccinated and then had adverse effects from clots in their lungs. I've seen the what's it called? I've seen the pictures of the lungs and with the multiple thousands of little fucking blood clots in the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
I know these people, and I know that's anecdotal, but it's happening. It's existing. Is it a mass amount of? And I want to know the data on that. If anybody has that, please let me know, right? Because we like to conflate shit, right? When it fits, we'll talk about Americans when it fits us, or when it fits America, not us, but the media will talk about Americans and say, oh, only a small amount of Americans are having these adverse effects. I want that broken up into race and economic status. How many of these people are upper class white folks, and how many of these people are middle, lower class black folks? I don't know that information. Everything else is broken out into data like that.
I bet right now we're gonna use this as a thing to come back to. We're gonna come back to 105 on Thursday, May 27th. After we find this data out later. And we're gonna see, because I'm willing to wager the upper class white people not included in this fucking number that we're talking about. With these people that are becoming ill and having adverse side effects to these COVID vaccines.
Right.
Because they're not fucking getting it. They're shooting this shit out here, bro. This COVID vaccine sounds so close to the fucking Tuskegee experiments, bro. And I hate to like label shit that way, but that's who the fuck I know that I know for sure is going out here. And they preaching to people. Motherfucker talked to me for 20 minutes the other day because her sister died from COVID and she went and got the vaccine, and she asked me, and this is while I'm in a uniform. And I'm like, nah, I didn't get the vaccine. Which really wasn't her business, but it was an endearing conversation, so we just had it. And she preached to me about that shit. And I preached to her. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, if I told you this, that, or whatever, she like, I ain't fucking with that. And I mentioned Sebi. And she was like, man, old crazy motherfucker. And I was like, shit, bro got whole ass pulled into court, won that shit because he wasn't lying. But for some reason, you won't believe that shit. But the motherfuckers who push pills to keep you on pills, is somehow convincing you that, you need to go take this vaccine. And there's no motherfucking, like, there's nothing presented with this vaccine that should make you feel like you ought to be scared of what the fuck's going on. Like the COVID shit was killing people, but anybody who works in the medical field knows that the people who were dying, quote unquote, from COVID, all that shit wasn't COVID. It was just that little time period where the hospitals was trying to get that money. So we was writing up shit, but there was shit going on where motherfuckers get shot in the head. You get shot in the head, but for some reason you breathing funny. That's a COVID now. You know what I'm saying? You don't even get the dignity of dying from the trauma you received, my nigga. You a whole ass hood nigga that died from COVID because you got shot 6 times in the chest, my nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Listen to
And
this.
they don't understand that shit.
Also, listen to this. An estimated 40% of American adults may be vitamin D deficient. For African Americans, that number may nearly be double at 76, according to a new study by the Cooper Institute. So 76% of Black America is vitamin D deficient, right? Why? Why? Well, what a lot of Black folks don't know is that we think that we're super sun people. Um, and the reality of that is, in reality, white people are kind of super sun people. White people absorb sun at a greater vitamin D from the sun at a greater rate than Black people. We stifle it off. We don't absorb it as quickly because we.
Well, that's where it came from, because we didn't get hurt by it.
Yeah, because we didn't get hurt by it. They absorb that energy so quick that it hurts them. We don't absorb it as quickly. We stifle it off. So it takes more time in the sun for a Black person to absorb, from a melanated person to absorb vitamin D from the sun, than it takes for a white person. All right. So all these extra shits that Black folks don't want to be in the sun. They don't want to go outside. They don't want to go to the pool and swim. They have all these inside jobs and so on and so forth. It's affecting your health, right? Also, uChicagoMedicine.org. Studies suggest high vitamin D levels may protect against COVID-19, especially for Black people. Oh, shit. Isn't that interesting? Well, Black people are vitamin D deficient. So what does that mean for Black people? That you're going to get affected by COVID-19 at a higher rate if you are actually being affected by COVID-19. It's also a way to get you to go to the hospital, and they can just push you in when you really have a problem that they need to address. They just sweep you under the rug and say, "Oh, it's COVID-19."
That's what I was about to say, bro. Like, I don't know if you ever feel it, but I'm skeptical of that shit, bro, because niggas aren't. You know what I'm saying? Niggas historically, niggas are not vitamin D deficient. You feel me? Like, vitamin D deficiency is what causes the flip side of this shit that white people deal with, which is fucking osteoporosis. You know what I'm saying? Like their inability to fucking absorb and use calcium and shit like that, right? Like, we don't struggle from that shit. And I've grown to have an understanding like that. Even if it's presented as like factual information, I don't know who controls that factual information. And I just encourage everybody to fucking do what the hell is right. Leave some of this shit alone. Bring in some of this shit that you know is good for you. You feel me? Like little quick ass research will let you know. You know what I'm saying? Like the vitamin D shit, that's some shit that, as me and you, or as anybody else who can go Google and do some shit like that, like, we know that we need vitamin D, but everybody don't know what the fuck vitamin D does, right?
Right.
There's probably fucking 5, 6 different vitamin Ds that are like important to how the fuck your body works. We don't know them motherfuckers, but you got your D3s and shit like that. We don't know that shit, right? We just waiting on somebody to tell it to us. But if the motherfuckers who pushing the pills control the narrative, they can say what they want to say. And they can put it on whatever site they want to say. The CDC can even say that shit. And that's why you have motherfuckers quitting the CDC, because misinformation is getting out there and they don't want to be a part of it. And when they found breath floating in that river down in Mississippi or Alabama or wherever it was, that was coming out speaking out against the immunizations, speaking about
Right.
the flu vaccines and shit, right? So even then, I'm just at a point where I'm like, look, my nigga, you can't always go to what you feel like is the source of this shit, but you just gotta, even when you just understand the basics, right?
Right.
Vitamin D, first of all,
But we
vitamin
can't
D is, huh?
go on.
I was gonna say, first of all, vitamin D is some shit that's stored in your fat, right? Genetically, and this is scientific shit, right? Genetically, white people hold more fat than black people. White people are more averse to you know, white people are more susceptible to damage from the sun, so they don't spend as much time in it. They use a lot of UV blocks, sunblock, sunglasses, clothes and shit to block themselves from the sun because they got adverse effects from it. We don't necessarily have to do it as blacks, most of us, because it don't hurt us the same way. So we're gonna accrue that shit. We don't hold it the same way as them, but they don't keep it in their bodies. My nigga, they deal with shit with those with that weak ass density in their bones and shit like that. That's what vitamin D is gonna hold itself at, and that's what
Okay.
it's for.
But listen. All right. So yes, historically, black people have not been vitamin D deficient in this country longer than they have, but that doesn't change that we have become due to the change in the jobs that we hold, right? Like we aren't the purveyors or the main people within agriculture anymore in these outside positions. We've been replaced by Latin American individuals, right? So that's one. Two, there are just genetic differences within races. So white
Right.
people just genetically and some of these things might come from history of. So if we have generally had a history of high amounts of vitamin D, which assists with bone strength and bone density, some of these things can become genetic. So white people are already born at young ages with less dense bones than black people are. Point blank. Period. So where does osteoporosis come from? And who is the the what's the word? Where that gauge of where we're gauging osteoporosis or what is considered osteoporosis at. Guaranteed is white folks. Guaranteed is to white folks
100%.
standards of low density. So, but that doesn't change um, that we aren't at the levels of vitamin D in which we were created to have, and that can affect us in a negative way. And white people might be at a level of vitamin D in which they were created to have, which is at a lower level than we are. And so their
Right.
their their body might
So
be able to function at that lower level in a okay way. And
and I think
ours
it
isn't.
is, bro. Because I honestly feel like so looking back at some data that I looked at a long time ago, bro. I think that their life expectancy had been shorter. Per the motherfuckers originating in Africa and per those motherfuckers who originated from those cavemen, life expectancy was different. You feel me? Like that intermingling that created the browns and the lighter browns that created back to white, the motherfuckers are just at the benefit of that intermingling have created a species of them that's been able to live longer. But motherfucker, they had already been at the short end of this shit. They had never been expected to be what they were, and that's just where that. But they got there though,
Right.
through violence, through calculated maneuvers and shit.
They still exist.
They won whatever they were supposed to win from that shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's no reason to try to knock that, and I won't knock it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm actually in awe of it because
May the strong survive. The ones that do what they need to do, bro. And if
you
we
know
don't
what I
if we don't
mean.
if we don't kick it in and do some of the same things that they doing, that's why I don't knock it. We don't deserve to be here.
Yeah, I mean it's
I
got
mean,
to
just
happen.
saying, just saying, true story. We don't deserve to be here if we can't play the game that's being played. If we want to sit
Facts.
here and harp off of we don't like the rules, the game is being played regardless if we like them or not. And some of the rules that we don't like is just comes down to us being um, formed in a more docile way where well, we don't want to hurt nobody. We don't want to do. We just let them come in our neighborhoods and take over our neighborhoods. But a nigga that was raised down the block, he can't walk over here. But a white man
Right.
or a white woman that don't come from this, isn't even from this state, can move in and run their poodle up and down the street. We won't put a hand on that person. That's my slave
Yeah,
voice.
we hella
Sorry.
reactive. Well, we just hella reactive, bro. Like a lot of our culture, even when you speak to motherfuckers who like deeply entrenched in these hoods, my nigga, it comes back to. So I heard a chick say, "Shit, my such and such don't want me to send my kids over there. They said they'll fuck that party up. I'm sending my kids anyway. I wish they would." Like that reactive shit.
Right.
And it's like, why would you even put your kids in that situation? You know what I'm saying? Like I understand you want to be fearless and you want to feel like they won't do shit. But in my mind, bro, like, you know, me and you was doing some shit and you was like, my nigga, I'll shoot you in your head. I believe you, right? Because that's how I feel like I should operate. Oh, he gonna shoot me in the head, nigga. So he don't be prepared for that shit. You know what I'm saying? I gotta just vacate the situation. But you can't, you know, like you can't jump out there and try to just be reactive of shit.
True.
Jump out there, be proactive, understand what the scenario is, play off of that shit, and don't put yourself in them type of situations. Motherfuckers is doing it though, because we just want to be that tough ass. Even the women is hyper masculine now, bro.
Right, but there's a certain amount of respect you got to give, or at least I do, to the stupidity. Like there's a thin line between some gangster shit and some dumb shit. We can blur that line, bro. We can cross that line. Like a lot of these white folks can't, bro. They react, they speak up, because and they get their asses beat. They get their asses beat over it. Imagine that same white person with as prepared and as like gamey, right? Like, you know, like the gaminess of a dog. I don't like to,
Right.
you know, but you know, that same gaminess of a black person with that same mentality. You would be unstoppable. You would be unstoppable as a black woman if you had that Karen mentality, accompanied with that I don't give a fuck, I'll beat your ass, like fearlessness.
That arrogance.
That like you know what I'm saying? But we have one we have one without the other. They don't have that fear. And it's crazy because I don't really think, I think that we act like they don't have that fear because they're not used to the consequences. I don't think that's it, bro. I don't think that's it. I don't think that white boy that shoots up that place doesn't think that he might die. I don't think he does. I don't think he goes, I can shoot up this place and I'm not gonna die. I don't think he thinks that. I think he just doesn't have the fear. I don't think at this point in time, these Karens can come out here and do these things and be put on blast on TV and get their asses beat. And you can sit here and say that they don't think that they're gonna be put on blast and have their asses beat. That they don't know.
Well, they haven't based, so majority of them motherfuckers we talking about haven't based their existence on religion, bro. We afraid to die because it's religion. You know what I'm saying? Like we're afraid of what the fuck may happen because we haven't atoned for shit. The motherfuckers don't have that same belief, and that gives you a certain level of courage. Like, my nigga, you about to operate in the moment, and that's how they do, bro.
I don't disagree. And we've been placed in this religion where we're like, you know, where we're more inclined to attack our own than we are to attack them based upon some consequences. And I just think that some of these white folks just don't give a fuck about the consequences. You know, and then they don't get the consequences that could occur. But I really just think that they're like, I don't give a fuck currently when it comes to you, nigga. Like, I don't think that them Waco white boys that was that the motorcycle people did that shooting in that shootout there with no expectation of going to jail or getting locked up. I think that it happened that way. It happened that way. But I don't think that they went into it and said, you know, we can go do this whole shooting out here at this bar and nothing's gonna happen to us.
Right.
They just didn't have that fear. Some of these white folks is just fearless. I don't know whether to call it dumb or call it arrogant or call it misled. I don't know. It's a weird, strange place.
Man, that shit.
But a lot of these white folks just don't have the fear to die, bro.
They don't.
They just don't have the fear to die, and we do. More of
They
these
don't,
white
bro.
more of these white folks will stand on their principles and die over it than we will. Point blank, period. They will do it for this country. We won't even do it for our gang. We won't do it for our organization. We won't do it for our group. They'll go out there and
We don't
join the
do it for
military and do
our
it for our
home, bruh.
country.
We don't do
it
that shit
for
for
we
our
won't do it
home.
for our home. We won't do it for our children.
But you know the crazy shit is
We will
I
sit
don't
there.
know
We
if
will
we've
sit
been-
there and watch our child get strangled, and go, no, don't strangle our child.
with no handcuffs just because the nigga got a gun pointed at us. Right? Like niggas is not, but I think that niggas have been conditioned to a point where maybe we come with some shit, bruh, that changes what's going on. But there's like a totem pole mentality, bruh. And I think that we've never put ourselves high enough on the totem pole to even feel like what we have in common with a motherfucker is enough to be able to fucking defend and honor that shit.
Bro, some of these folks is just savages, bro. And we can say it. We can call them cavemen, right? We can talk about.
When I told you about bro stumping on that bird head
Yeah.
at work, like that's some savage shit, right?
That's some savage shit.
There was so many other.
I don't know if you said that on the podcast.
Nah, it was just me and you talking in regular conversation.
Tell that story.
Little bird flew into the window, you know, on the bay and shit, and bro couldn't fucking fly, but he flapping around trying to figure life out though. And whole time we worked for, like we worked for a fucking government entity, and our whole mission is preservation of life. The beginning of all this shit, preservation of life, preservation of property. You feel me? Life is first though, right? We work literally walking distance from a veterinary clinic. Little bird damn near break his neck, but he can't fly though, right? We trying to figure this shit out. And it's like, shit, what we gonna do, man? The bird back here doing this, whatever. And bro come out here and he like, man, I'm gonna just put him out of his misery. Raise the foot up about, it seemed like 8 feet in the air, bro, but you know, regular ass stomping position. Stomp the bird head, little brain shootout, whatever. I'm uncomfortable with it though, you feel me? But the one thing that I know though, bro, who the savages are, this was a white guy though. You feel me? Like this is a white coworker who didn't give a fuck. It was just like, hey, my nigga, I'll go do it. You feel me? Stomp the fuck out of the little bird, little brown thrasher. I think it was a brown thrasher. You feel me? Which might be illegal in the state of Georgia because that's our state bird. I ain't tripping or whatever, but I do know that there's a type of people that I know who would have been okay with doing that. There's a type of people that I know who are not okay with doing that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that savagery presents itself as a race, my nigga. And you know, white people have been known to not give a fuck. You feel me? If you was able to spend a couple hundred years lynching and burning and you know, pulling limbs off of people and physically castrating with no remorse, my nigga, you the savage.
You're savage. And the thing about gameness is gameness don't got nothing to do with whether you're gonna win that fight or not. Gameness has to do with your mentality in regards to that fight. You know what I'm saying? A pit bull has a weaker fight than a German Shepherd. German Shepherd has a way stronger bite than a pit bull, but that pit bull is probably gonna win because he's gamey. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with strength. It has nothing to do with all that. It has something to do with your mentality when you walk into these situations. And to be honest with you, I mean, there's a quote, you know, and the quote is to protect the sheep, you got to be a wolf. I mean, to protect the sheep, you got to catch the wolf, and to catch the wolf, you got to be a wolf. You have dogs that they sit out there to protect the sheep that are stronger than a wolf,
Right.
that are more gamey than them wolves. And we can sit here and talk about how we are a people of peace and all this bullshit that just honestly isn't true. War has existed since the beginning of time, and if Black people have existed since the beginning of time before any other people, we've probably uh, been war torn prior to any other people. So the fact that all these people say we just a spiritual and calm. Listen, this Africa done been split between different countries and different groups, and then changed back to those other groups, and all this shit's the beginning of Africa. All right. If we want to sit and talk about the Bible and how the Bible is filled with niggas, these is niggas, and there's wars in that Bible. We've been some fighting, some warrior minded people. We've been compelled to be these peaceful individuals. You can be.
I think our war was different.
Yeah, most definitely. Our war might not have been as savage. We might have had more rules and more things around it. We knew how to wash our asses, but still pick up a shield and a sword. You feel what I'm saying? But war is war. War is war. We can't go out here and be unorganized. You feel me? So
Right.
but at the end of the day, if this is the game they playing, which is being a wolf, you are not gonna talk a hungry wolf down from eating your sheep, my nigga. You're gonna have to kill that wolf, or cause that wolf enough fear to leave your motherfucking sheep alone. And the sheep are the women and the children, in my mind, because we're as Black men, we're here to lead them, and we're here to protect them. So that being the case, we got to play the same game that they playing, and the only people we playing that same game against is our own folks. Anything you got to say before we close?
No, man. Feel like we good.
All right. Well, this is another episode. You feel me? Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment. Agreeable, disagreeable, something we can talk about, something you'd like us to talk about, an opinion you'd like us to give. If you have any information on any cryptocurrency or on any of the subjects that we discuss, if we have any interest in discussing, please leave a comment, hit our inbox, or something like that. But most definitely spread the word, like, subscribe, all that. We're only getting better out here.
Definitely do that. And definitely, if any of you that we know personally, we don't know you personally, you know what I mean, and you don't want to speak out publicly, you know what I mean, as a comment, our information is put up there. Hit us on the inbox or whatever, man. If you want to get a little spot on the show, come in and talk to us or whatever, we're definitely welcome to that. Definitely welcome to all information, man. Any information that you got, even if you come with some bullshit, man, I just want you to be able to, like we said before, back up your argument and be able to have an intelligent conversation about it. You know what I mean? Let's try to leave a lot of the emotional opinions and the subjective shit out of that, and let's try to talk from a place where everybody can understand and grow from it.
Right.
Because and my aunt always say, man, progressive is the key always. You know what I'm saying? And everybody get better. I like it, man. Let's just always do it. Everybody just need to be doing what the fuck we need to do to get better from yesterday.
For sure. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm Tay from the Bay.
I'm the real Tay.
You know what I'm saying? And we out. This is another episode of Power, Powder, and Dollars, and we out.
Big facts.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, if I'm gone, I'm going in a blaze of glory. Middle finger to the niggas that did nothing for me. Revolutionary suicide, Malcolm X. I ain't tripping off niggas, it's on that stupid shit. I be on that militant minded, that revolution shit. I spit the real, niggas better get used to this. I kill beats and murder whatever booth I'm in. I ain't talking peace, I ain't on that Martin Luther shit. Cause when you black, they bustin' no matter who you with. Yeah, these niggas live fast and they die young.